Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Neglected by Family and Became the Void Ghidorah movie. Before we start, please go support IsseiOmniversalCaos for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. Issei will suffer the mistreatment of his siblings, Ryu and Issei, who wield Longinus and defeat every evil. Issei also fought, but they always sidelined him for lacking power. The girls he fell in love with rejected him in the worst way. But one night, while celebrating the victory over Trixia, he awakens a power capable of destroying the entire world, and thus he becomes the new Ghidorah. Prologue. The beginning of it all and the power comes to light, Part 1. Why? Why does everyone prefer Ryu just because he has a celestial dragon? That makes him a prodigy, but what do I get out of it? A chestnut-haired boy cried in the forest of the underworld, which was 4,000 meters from the Gremory clan. A party was being held at Gremory Castle to celebrate the defeat of Trixia, who was supposedly defeated by Hyoudou, the older brother of Issei and his army. But to find out how we got here, let's travel further back in time. Flashback. We see 4 children playing. Issei Hyoudou, the youngest. Izami Hyoudou, the oldest. And Ryu, also a Hyoudou. Unlike Issei, Ryu and Izami are arrogant and boastful. They encounter, or rather, are found by, Rias Gremory, the spoiled and capricious girl who only cares about people's power. She starts playing with them until they get along very well, but she also makes a mistake. Telling their parents about the supernatural. Their parents are surprised that mythologies and everything else exist in the world. Rias asks Ryu to think of something powerful, and he does. A red gauntlet with claws and green gems appears. A silver crown with blue gems appears on Izami's head. It's the crown of the dragon Tiamat and the gauntlet of the red dragon Emperor Drake. Issei tried, but nothing appeared, so Rias told him, "You're useless. If you don't have power, what will you do?" Since then, he has suffered abuse from his parents and siblings, as well as from Rias, who brought her queen and rook, who began to beat him and launch attacks. Akeno threw lightning bolts at him, and Kaneko hit him, breaking his ribs and bones. Issei screamed and screamed, but no one came to help him. At the school they attended, Ryu started a rumor that Issei was stealing Izami's underwear or even raping her at night, that he was a pervert, and all of this turned the school against Issei, beating him, leaving him in pools of blood, or nearly killing him with the injuries they inflicted. Many told him, "You're useless because you're not like Ryu, he's handsome and generous, but you're a parasite and a pervert. I hope you die." They said all of this to him, but he knew better than anyone that it was all Ria's fault for appearing in his life. Otherwise, he would be happy and wouldn't suffer abuse from everyone. As time went on, Issei continued to suffer, but he felt something different within himself because his wounds healed in 2 days without leaving any scars. When they turned 17/18, they enrolled in Kuoh Academy, a co-ed school with a slightly higher proportion of girls than boys. Ryu, being handsome, attracted the attention of many girls, who called him the Prince of the Hope. Izami, the Queen, Issei, being almost like Ryu, but also the Dark Prince, earned those names with everything they did. But Ryu was furious that his useless brother attracted more attention from women and did the same thing he did in elementary school. Spread rumors. In a short time, those rumors made the girls look at the brunette with disgust. The kendo girls would hit him because they thought he watched them when they changed, but he just lay down under a tree and the perverted duo would pass by. Because they thought he was watching them, they would hit him. But one girl always helped him. Her name was Cadis, a girl with short pink hair. She had always been by his side and was the only one who knew he wasn't a pervert and that he didn't look at them because his eyes were just darkness, lifeless. But when he saw her, their light shone. They always ate together or went out secretly. One day, Issei was crossing the bridge when a girl named Yuma asked him out and he gladly accepted. He told Cadis, who agreed so he could meet more girls. But someone saw them on the bridge and it was Kaneko, sent by Rias because she sensed a hidden power in Issei that was still dormant. The day of the date arrived and Issei was in the park when he saw a girl handing out flyers with a strange symbol. Yuma appeared and they began their date, stopping to get ice cream or win a plushie. After the date, they went to a park where no one else was around. There, Yuma asked Issei if she could do anything for him and he agreed, but what she said left him somewhat traumatized. "You will die for me." After that question, she tells him that she was a fallen angel and if he wants to blame anyone, it's God for placing such great power within him. Saying that, she creates a spear of light that pierces his chest, causing him to fall to the ground and vomit blood. All light fades from his eyes, and the fallen angel, who turns out to be someone named Rainer who kills other powerful people, leaves without a trace. Issei is already dying when he sees a vision of a kind of dragon, but more like a serpent with golden spikes covering its entire body. It has a long snout with few teeth, but they are large and sharp, fighting a giant lizard with metallic skin and firing a thin blue beam from its mouth. But then everything goes dark, and the steering wheel the girl gave him flies until it reaches a few meters away, forming a red magic circle with a strange symbol in the center. Rias' Gremory emerges from it with pawn pieces in her hand, saying, "Live for me again. Fail me, and I myself will finish you." She puts the pieces in place, and Issei is reincarnated as a demon in the Gremory clan. He meets all the pieces that tortured him, except for one. Hyoudou, the prince of the academy, and of course, his brothers, who would smile at him just to beat him up. As the days passed, Issei fulfilled every contract Rias asked of him, but on one occasion, he encountered Freed, a very crazy exorcist who murdered the person in the contract. Issei confronted him, but Rias' entire entourage appeared, and when they met Issei, they simply thanked him for everything. Issei was then taken to the club where Rias argued that she shouldn't control his life, so he ignored her warnings and went straight to the church, where he killed all the exorcists and fallen angels who were protecting him. Ryu appeared and pretended to save Asia, making her very happy that he was her savior. But to Issei, she said, "I don't understand why I became friends with someone like you. I wish you were dead." Then she left with Ryu, who would now do everything possible to ruin Issei's life, no matter what. Every time Issei tried to face powerful rogue demons, he ended up injured, but he was helped and healed by Sona, Sitri and her entourage, who grew fond of the brown-haired boy after he was kind to them and helped them in the student council. As time passed, they faced Rias' Phoenix, Rias' fiancé, who challenged them to a rating game to determine if Rias would break off her engagement. Rias gave them 10 days to train, and Issei trained intensely with Sona's entourage to help him surpass all limits. The day of the battle arrived, and both entourages lost pieces until only 3 pawns and a bishop remained for Rias, and a queen and a bishop for Rias. Ryu used his dragon shot, but no attack was enough to defeat Rias, who then launched a fireball, causing an explosion. Issei appeared and delivered a powerful blow to Rias' head, sending him flying. Then, with water and ice spells, he created thousands of water and ice spikes that he launched at high speed, which pierced Rias' body. Rias screamed in pain, and before Issei could do anything, Ryu intervened and delivered a powerful blow that knocked him unconscious, declaring that he was the one who had done it. He defeated Issei, and Issei was just a hindrance, earning the hatred of everyone except the Sitri entourage. Ryu earned applause and shouts of joy, especially when Sirzechs told him that he would now be Ryu's fiancé. Issei was now alone, hating his life, hating everything, hating this world he was born into, and especially the spoiled brat who started kissing Ryu while he groped Ria's butt and she just smiled at Ryu's actions. Then came the battles with Gabriel, Loki, Ghidorah, Kuoh and others, where Issei defeated each of them, but as always, Ryu took the credit. His harem began to grow, including Zenobia, Asia, Kaneko, Irina, Lefay, Office, Kuroka, Gabriel, Elmenhold, Valeria, Murayama, Yasaka, and Kunu. Here Kunu is 14 and the size of Kaneko, Akeno, Lavinia. One day he confessed to all of them, but they said, "Hahaha, you think I'm going to love someone like you, Naya? I want to have strong babies with a dragon, not with someone who has nothing special about them, Naya. I want to have strong children, you useless thing. I would never love someone like you. I hope God forgives me for those words, but it's the truth. You're just a burden in everything. I hope Ria-senpai kicks you out of the perverted entourage. I wouldn't love Issei-sama. You're useless. A burden. A burden. Useless." Until he simply told them, "Don't come to me asking for forgiveness and for everything to go back to the way it was before, because forgiveness no longer exists for me." Issei left, leaving the girls between Rias and everyone else because of what he said, but everything was seen by Ryu, who laughed at what they said to him. But a dragon sealed in the gauntlet was very furious with its wearer and with the girls who gave him those things. Issei went outside the mansion where he saw Arthur, Biku, Vali talking. "Biku? Vali? Why do you hate Issei? Vali? He's useless and powerless. If he didn't exist, he'd be doing everyone a huge favor. Arthur? I can't believe you're like all those stupid people. You know, I don't understand why I joined you guys. You only care about fighting strong people when you don't care about the lives of others, only your rivals and his females. Vali? I don't care about that, I don't care about other people's lives, this is a pathetic world. Arthur? Well, it's confirmed, you won't do anything for us, fine, we're leaving the group. Vali? What? Arthur? As you heard, I hate that they despise someone who has done so much for us and you know it, you just ignore it and think that he defeats them when they are weak when they are not weak. Vali? You're leaving us just because we're useless. Biku? Yes, I hope you learn from your mistakes in the future. What would you do if you had a brother and you were born without powers while he had them? But that question, I leave Vali in silence as they both leave in a magic circle to another place, leaving Issei happy to know that other people do care about him and recognize him. Now we go to Issei, who was now in the underworld for something he asked Grayfia to help him with, but he sees that Sirzechs was talking to someone or rather to many people. Sirzechs? So that's what they'll do. Advisor. If that brat is just a nuisance. Advisor 2. He's just wasting our time. He's not like the pillar of the factions. I don't understand why his family let him live. Azazel. I'm practically the same, but that boy is something special. Ajuka. Please Azazel, why do you say that about the useless faction member who only wastes time trying to protect when all he does is lose? Seraphol. If he's useless, I hope Rias kicks him out of her entourage when it's all over. Advisors. It is decided, the useless one will be removed from the Gremory clan and the supernatural forever, and the pillar will marry all the girls who are with him. Issei, upon hearing every word said about him, shed tears, a maid gazing sadly at him as she listened to everything. Issei then created a magic circle and left the mansion for home. Upon arriving, he heard moans and groans. Ryu was already having an orgy with all the girls Issei had confessed to, except for Sitri and Caddis. Issei made a decision. He would no longer fight for them, but for the people he loved. He took a sword from his wardrobe, along with a bow and infinite arrows, opened a circle, and headed straight for the Chaos Brigade, intending to finish off Rizevum. But Ryu, seeing this, came up with an idea. To pretend that Issei had killed Rizevum. Chapter 1. The beginning of it all and the power comes to light, Part 2. Now we focus on the Chaos Brigade, where countless demon corpses lay scattered about, riddled with arrows and riddled with deep cuts in their necks and chests, some headless or burned. Issei had blood trickling from his head and cuts on his cheeks and right arm. He ran and ran until he reached Rizevum's castle, where he surveyed the scene with a mixture of fear and fear. A mere human had defeated his entire army in just 40 minutes. Ryu was some distance away, applying blood to convince himself that he was the one who had vanquished Rizevum's army. Issei climbed the stairs to a large door, kicking it open with a single blow and entering a room where candles glowed purple. Before him stood a throne adorned with bones. Rizevum. Well, it isn't Issei Hyoudou who is supposedly useless but isn't. Issei. Don't call me by that last name. Rizevum. Ha, you look rather defenseless at first glance. I'll ask you this question. Why do you fight for them? Issei remained silent and lowered his head slightly. I don't understand. You fight for them when they don't see you as a soldier, nor as an ally, but as nobody. You go on suicide missions, and what do you gain? Nothing, just ridicule and humiliation for believing that a human isn't strong. But you've proven that humans are quite the opposite. You survived Loki, Gabriel, Ghidorah, Shalba, Kakao, and the evil dragons, in addition to my army. But I'll keep asking you. Why do you fight? Why do you fight when they won't see you as a hero, but as nothing? Issei. I just wanted to be someone in life, to at least be seen as something more than a reincarnated human or a low class. I wanted the love I once felt, and that was taken from me by Ryu. Rizevum. Well, I'll make you an offer. Join me and together we will destroy the factions. Issei. No, I won't let you destroy them. Rizevum. As you wish. Rizevum ran forward, firing spheres of power that Issei cut through with his sword. He took out his bow and fired 4 arrows, tracking Rizevum. Rizevum stopped at the walls, and some of the arrows embedded themselves in them. But Issei was doing something else. He secretly took another arrow, which was gathering power until he saw Rizevum approaching. He fired the arrow, and at high speed, it grazed Rizevum's face before exploding beside him, causing him to fall to the ground. Issei didn't waste any time and fired more and more arrows, but Rizevum created shields. However, because the arrows were of a strange origin, they pierced the shields, which gradually broke apart. Issei took another arrow, but this one began to gather more energy, making the glow grow larger until it reached a considerable size. Rizevum. Don't you understand? If that arrow keeps gathering more energy, it will destroy this entire place, including you. Issei. And how bad could it be? I say. No. Issei begins to close his eyes and sees the memories of Momo, the student council, and Caddis who were with him. Issei. Thank you, girls. Issei fires the arrow and in slow motion, it is seen as it goes and passes through the shield until it touches Rizevum's chest, where it causes a tremendous massive explosion of red and black color, causing the whole castle to explode and send out a shockwave that was felt more than 2,000 kilometers away, drawing the attention of the leaders who were called by Ryu, saying that he was facing Rizevum. 12 minutes later, everything was in ruins. There was fire everywhere, some columns were still falling, and in what used to be Rizevum's castle, a blue shield could be seen. Issei was inside with his eyes closed, and next to him were the Sitri entourage, along with Sona and Caddis, who were hugging Issei with tears in their eyes for having risked so much. The shield opens and in front of them were the leaders looking at Issei with anger and disgust. Sona. What's wrong? Azazel. We want Issei to tell us if it's true that he wanted to join the Chaos Brigade. Tsubaki. That's a lie, he would never do something like that. If Issei had done it, why would he have countless cut marks? Everyone saw Issei with cuts on his body in addition to bruises. Searches. Okay, now that Rizevim is dead thanks to Ryu. They were all shocked to hear that, since he hadn't done anything, and if you're wondering how they know, it's simple. There was a circle observing the entire battle. Searches. Thank you Ryu for defeating Rizevim. Ryu. You're welcome, I'm the most powerful Sekiryuutei in history for a reason, he said with an arrogant smile. Rias. If you're very powerful, don't be like that useless person. Asia. If he's useless. Hineko. Besides being a pervert. Upon hearing all this, Issei lowered his head and some tears fell, but they weren't tears, rather blood, flowing from his eyes because one had turned red. When the leaders looked up, they saw that Issei's left eye was bleeding as it had turned blood red and his vision began to blur. Momo. Issei-kun, are you alright? Issei. I feel bad, girls, a little. Issei falls to the ground bleeding profusely from his chest until they see that an arrow was stuck in his stomach. Azazel. Sirzechs, what's wrong? Sirzechs. It's poisoned. Everyone opened their eyes and the girls, upon hearing that, began to cry because they were going to lose their love. Michael. What will we do? He's an ally, so we must find a way to help him. Sirzechs. We must take him to the Gremory clan hospital quickly. Thus, they opened a circle and took Issei to the hospital where they told him he had been poisoned with a very potent poison that could even kill the original Lucifer, let alone his reincarnated selves. Issei was in the hospital for 2 whole weeks and his body underwent a transformation. His hair turned black with some blonde streaks and his eyes, which were once red, changed to hazel. When he awoke, all the girls he loved rushed to him and hugged him, saying they had worried him greatly and that he shouldn't do it again. From that day on, Issei returned home, but the humiliations continued as before. At night, he couldn't sleep because he heard loud moans coming from his brother's room, along with all the girls in his harem and Kuoh. He didn't care at all that Kuoh was younger. He really liked what his little dragon was doing. But there were other reasons too, and it was the same dream. Golden snakes fighting to the death against the same giant reptile. The days passed and Issei undertook more suicide missions, nearly dying on each one, but he managed to fulfill his purpose in life. The day of the battle against Trixie arrived and the seal broke, revealing the enormous dragon feared by all. She stood 130 meters tall and her power was so immense it rivaled that of the biblical god. But that didn't cause anyone to back down. Instead, they all charged at her and fought relentlessly. Great Red in his dragon form, as well as Office, fought against her, unconcerned with whether they were hurt or not. They kept going and going, but Issei read in a book about a very strong seal that even Trixie wouldn't be able to escape because if the seal broke, another would be placed. So he began reciting the words to create the seal, but Ryu watched him with a malicious smile, ready to wait for Issei to finish the seal and push Trixie away, ruining everything he had and everything that was his. Red was already somewhat tired and had torn wings, scratch marks on his back and eye, Office had several bites on her neck and her arm was badly damaged. Issei finished and then a light blinded them all, revealing a seal on a gigantic mountain with a very large cave where above the entrance a wall began to descend, so Issei ran towards it and with an unknown power that he didn't even know about, he pushed Trixie, but she wouldn't let him, she grabbed onto the walls of the entrance. Causing large rocks to fall and creating a lot of dust, making it hard to see what was happening until Trixie could no longer hold on because she broke a large piece of the entrance, falling backward until the wall of the seal came down with great force and on it was seen an inscription of some kind of 3-headed creature. Many wondered who sealed the beast of the apocalypse until their questions were answered by revealing Ryuhei in his armor with his hands on the wall and Issei beside him on his knees from exhaustion. Many began to applaud upon seeing their hero who had sealed Trixie away once again. Soldier. Long live the strongest Sekiryuutei in history. Soldier. Thank you. Soldiers. Thank you, Ryu-sama. Many shouted with happiness, but Ryu turned to look at Issei with an arrogant smile, but Issei had a face full of hatred. Later, a party was organized to which all factions were invited, both biblical and mythological, from different things. Rias was there in her dress, the others were dressed up, Arthur was there because LaFay asked him to be. The maid who saw Issei listening to the conversation of the leaders and counselors saw him leaning against the wall watching everyone laugh and applaud. Searches. Well, thank you all for coming to this party to celebrate Trixie's defeat. Many applauded and others shouted with excitement. Searches. I also want to say that if it weren't for Ryu we would all be dead, but also one of my sister's pawns will leave forever for being a hindrance to our pillar and the factions. Many viewed Issei with hatred, disgust and revulsion, except for a few. Searches. But first of all, I want our hero to come here, please. Ryu gets up and goes straight to where Sirzechs was. Ryu. Thank you all for coming here, and I want to say that the Demon Council has granted me 2 requests, and the first is to marry my entire harem and Sona Sitri's entourage. Sona and her pieces were in shock. Sona turned to look at Serafo, and she was looking at her sister with a smile, but Sona looked at her with hatred. Ryu. And secondly, that Hyoudou Issei be taken to purgatory so that he no longer hinders this world. Many who heard this disagreed, saying things like, it's impossible, even if he's a nuisance, he doesn't deserve to go there, I heard his family hates him, it's better he's in the human world, I don't think he's his brother. Issei heard all this and lowered his head, tears beginning to stream down his bangs. He ran over the balcony, followed by guards, but they couldn't catch him because suddenly Issei was surrounded by golden lightning until he was blasted out like a fireball thousands of meters away. People in the territory watched the golden ball until it crashed into the forest far from the city. Issei emerged from the crater, crying. In the castle, the girls cried upon learning that they would marry someone they didn't love, an arrogant man who stole their achievements. Izami was happy but sad to lose her brother, who was rightfully hers. Ryu wore a smile of accomplishment, and the leaders had different thoughts. The dragon gods wondered if Ryu was the best or worst Sekiryuutei. Issei walked through the forest, somewhat dazed. Bin flaws back. Current time. Issei. Why? Why does everyone prefer Ryu just because he has a heavenly dragon? That makes him a prodigy, but what do I get out of it? Issei was crying because his life was a living hell, unaware that a relative of Akeno was watching him. In the sky, the clouds began to gather and the wind blew somewhat strongly. The clouds began to swirl above Issei, and golden rays began to appear there along with flashes of lightning. Issei. I'm nobody, I wanted everyone to see me, I wanted to be something great like them, and for them to see what I am, that's why I did it, that's why I risked so much for them. That's why I hate myself, I hate who I am. I hate them all. Issei's eyes turned blood red, and screams appeared all over his face. Issei. I will kill everyone I hate, I will change this world into a better one, anyone who gets in my way will die, I will leave no one alive. He said that with a smile until he fell unconscious, and after a few minutes he woke up with yellow eyes, and his body began to emit golden rays, not without first letting out a roar. Chapter 2. The son of the King of the Void. Before the lightning struck Issei, he awoke in a dark place, or rather a destroyed planet. Half the world was in pieces, but the other half remained intact, or so I thought. Issei gets up and starts walking, but not before seeing a large group of people walking near a building. Issei. Hey. Where am I? Hey, help. Then, before continuing, a large paw crushes people in some small buildings, raising a curtain of smoke. Then, above, he sees the same giant lizard with metal dorsal plates, and its appearance made it look imposing. Not before hearing another roar from the other side, only to see 3 golden snakes emerging from some light, giant black shapes in the sky, until everything goes dark and out of nowhere, everything begins to shine, only to see another city, but in ruins. Then he hears a deep fearful voice. Millions of years have passed since I was able to choose my successor. Issei turns around and sees the same golden snake, but this time it seemed to be different and much larger. Issei. Who are you? Haha, many call me the Void King, the Golden Death, but you can call me Void Ghidorah. Upon hearing that name, Issei began to scream in pain as several memories about that name began to flood his mind. How it was born, its purpose, how it destroyed thousands of planets, and that its name was feared throughout all universes. Issei. Are you the one from my dreams? Ghidorah. Yes, or rather memories of me. Issei. What are you talking about? Ghidorah. You are my reincarnation. When he said that, Issei's eyes widened in shock, as he was now the reincarnation of a being that destroys planets and is invincible. You might wonder, where do I come from? I was born when my universe was created, thousands and billions of years ago. When I was created, I had only one objective. To exterminate all the planets and increase my power to an infinite level. When I destroyed my first world, I increased my power and size, but I wasn't the only one. There were 2 others. One was Black Ghidorah, almost like me but with a body, and the other was Day Ghidorah. They were both as powerful as me, but when I saw the number of pallets decreasing, I discovered I could travel to various dimensions or universes. In each one, I ended up destroying everything. But those who survived went to other universes and told about me and my fearsome power, which no one is capable of destroying. But when I arrived here, I discovered that this world was different and that here there was a monster who claimed to be the king of the monsters. So I came here and destroyed every titan that crossed my path. They were like flies. When I saw him, he was almost like me, and I thought I would defeat him, but it wasn't so. The fight lasted a long time, yes, but his power was greater. Using an unknown power, he killed me, but my soul remained in this world. I saw that he also died, but every titan that survived entered hibernation so that one day they could awaken again, just like me. But I couldn't find successors for my power, though I did find 2 girls who can possess my base power. But the rest was you. Issei. What? Ghidorah. You will carry my power, you will be the most powerful Ghidorah of all time, many will fear you. Issei. I just wish I could protect everyone and create a better world. Ghidorah. Do you accept the power I will give you? Issei was lost in thought, but then he remembered all the moments he had with the Sitri entourage, with Caddis, the times they protected him, and he decided it was time to return the favor. Issei. I accept. Ghidorah. Good choice. Thus Ghidorah turns to dust, and all that golden dust goes straight to Issei, who screamed in pain, causing all the buildings around him to collapse. Golden lightning fell everywhere, even tornadoes appeared, but he looks directly above and sees how a sphere, or rather a black hole, falls on top of him, causing a tremendous explosion throughout the world. Outside of your subconscious. Issei opened his eyes and repeated the same words before he passed out. I will kill everyone I hate, I will change this world into a better one, anyone who gets in my way will die, I will leave no one alive. In the sky, the clouds began to gather, creating a larger vortex. Everyone in the territory watched as the clouds swirled in the forest. At the party, the Sitri girls weren't doing well, to say the least. Now that they were going to marry someone they didn't love, it would be worse than going to prison. But suddenly, everything began to shake violently. Cracks appeared all over the mansion, parts of it fell away, and everyone inside began to feel afraid. Glass and ice decorations fell, causing everyone to flee the mansion. Once outside, they watched as the windows shattered, as a large part of the mansion collapsed, but they also saw how the dust drifted to another spot, as if something were attracting it, so they turned their gaze to where the clouds were swirling. Sirzechs. What the hell is going on? Soldier. Lord Lucifer, there's a power surge over there. The soldier points towards the forest. Azazel. Something big is about to happen, and we'd better prepare ourselves. In the forest, Issei kept shouting and shouting, but suddenly he let out a powerful roar that could be heard throughout the Gremory territory. Those outside the mansion felt fear upon hearing that roar. Rias. What was that? Sirzechs. I don't know. Milikas. Oka-san, I'm scared. Grayfia. Calm down, son, everything will be alright. The Issei. He began to glow, a bright yellow golden horn sprouted from his head, curving backward. 2 long tails with pointed tips sprouted from his back. His feet transformed into 5 toed paws with sharp claws. More eyes appeared, now totaling 8. Then he rained again, and lightning began to gather in the eye of the whirlpool, forming a giant golden sphere. Akeno watched in amazement, as did Thor and Barakiel, who possessed the power of lightning and thunder. They saw everything calm down until they heard the roar once more, this time powerful, shattering all the windows of the clan and beyond. In slow motion, a massive golden lightning bolt descended with great force at the source of the roar, creating a massive explosion that devastated the entire forest. The shockwave didn't just destroy anything. It nearly swept people away, only for those who hid before it arrived. The lightning kept striking, the explosion began to disappear, but a huge curtain of dust and smoke rose up, preventing anyone from seeing beyond. The leaders were about to go and see what had happened when they felt an enormous power and thirst for blood. Great Red in office immediately recognized that power and went to the edge of the ravine, but the tremor was present again, but this time with more force than before, causing many houses, buildings, and some mountains to collapse. Some explosions could be heard, but then they heard something creaking. The crackling grew louder and louder until something emerged from where the forest had exploded, leaving everyone, especially the dragon gods, terrified. A colossal golden wing emerged from the smokescreen, and they realized it was far too large to belong to a normal dragon. Then they saw another wing of the same size appear. Auden. What the hell is that? Red. They are dragon wings. Tannin. But Red Sama, is there any dragon with wings that size? Red. No. They watched as the wings grew larger and larger until they stopped growing and descended slowly but powerfully. Upon touching the ground, many patches of earth were lifted up and a curtain of dust rose again, advancing with the force of an avalanche, burying 3 hectares, but not the people who managed to escape. The fire began to spread further and further until it covered 5,000 meters in flames. But then terror began to grip them as they saw something rising. It was very long, with thousands of spikes all over it, lying flat. These spikes weren't very long. They were short. They watched as it continued to rise higher and higher until they realized it was a tail. At the tip, it had 9 larger and longer spikes, 2 on each side and 1 at the very tip, longer than the others, arranged like the corners of a triangle. Then they saw another thing begin to rise higher and higher. The citizens watched this with fear, thinking it was something worse than the Trixia. Out of nowhere the tails rise all the way up, and Azazel takes a device that directs him to where the tails were still rising. Azazel. These tails are very long. Sirzechs. What are their measurements? Azazel. According to this, 1100 meters long. Upon hearing that, everyone grew even more frightened, wondering if it was something bigger and worse. Then they heard thunderous noises, and it was the tails slowly descending, limply, until they touched the ground. The smoke frightened everyone even more as a golden head, like a serpent's, rose up, but this one was different. It had 12 horns, and its neck was just as thick. But it wasn't the only one. Another head appeared on the left with 10 horns. Then the last one emerged, the middle one, with around 14 golden horns that began to move their necks as if looking all around. The sky filled with clouds, and more golden rays began to appear, giving the heads an even more terrifying appearance. Their eyes glowed blood red, frightening even more children and soldiers who hid behind everyone. The leaders were terrified. They couldn't move because of the fear that gripped them. Then it became noticeable that the necks were connected to a body of the same golden color but large. It had large, strong legs for making great leaps or something like that. It had 5 fingers with long, sharp claws. Its body was large. You might wonder why. Well, its necks are not that long, but their thickness or width became larger and larger, and for that reason its body is large. Then it takes one last look at the territory and covers itself with its wings. Many did not understand what was happening until the beast abruptly opens its wings and lets out a powerful roar that was heard throughout the supernatural and human world. The wings were now larger, and thousands of large rocks were thrown all over the territory. Azazel takes his device again and checks the wings. Azazel. His wings are very large, they measure 1200 meters long. Everyone got more and more scared because that thing kept growing until it stopped and used its wings to start walking. A child who was near one of his houses that was destroyed saw the enormous beast. Boy. What is that? It's gigantic. But the leaders. They watched as the mega dragon began to leave, but not before Azazel said something. Azazel. That thing is very tall. Zeus. How tall is he? Azazel. 460 metros. Everyone was even more frightened because that dragon surpassed Great Red, since he measures 120 meters, and this one was much bigger. Azazel. Their necks are only 99 meters long. But they see the dragon stop and turn around, only to observe that Inmedio's head is staring at the territory, or rather at the children. He sees with his eyes that these children have bruises, but not from the earthquake, no, but from abuse. Then his eyes glow, and each child from the Gremory territory, Phoenix, begins to float to the side of the dragon, where spiked teeth emerge from its back, forming a giant urn into which all the children enter. The mothers scream, "Pay us, we'll get them back." But the dragon, seeing this, roars, and lightning appears behind it, giving it a terrifying appearance. Once all the children were inside the urn, it began to be placed on the dragon's chest where the beast's ribs protruded, revealing a hole. The urn was then inserted into this hole, which closed so the dragon could continue on its way. Ryu looked at the beast with hatred, thinking it was stronger than her. Ryu. Damn beast, I will defeat you. Big Red. You can't do anything. Ryu. Why not? Big Red. You can't stand up to it. Ryu. You know what it is, right? Then tell us what that thing is. Gran Rojo. Void Ghidorah. Everyone. Void Ghidorah. Office. That's right, he's the lord of another great kingdom, he will consume everything that exists, king of the void. Out of nowhere, Ghidorah stops, but they see it extend its wings, scaring everyone again. Sirzechs. Activate the shield. The soldiers activated a shield created by Azazel for such things, which formed a dome-like barrier around the entire territory. Ghidorah flapped his wings and flew off. Inside the dome, rocks were seen falling, and a hurricane-force wind was blowing, drying out trees and other things. They watched as Ghidorah continued flying until, several meters away, a giant portal opened, surprising everyone that Ghidorah could do that. Ghidorah continued on his course until he slowly began to cross the portal, unaware that 14 fallen angels and 30 demons were following behind him. When his entire body entered, the portal began to close until it disappeared. The leaders overcame their fear and went straight to Sirzechs' castle to talk about Ghidorah. In Sirzechs' castle, the leaders sit and discuss with the dragon gods so that they will tell them about Ghidorah and what he is doing there. Red. Shut up already. Everyone remained silent because he yelled at them. Red. Well, many will wonder, how do we know about it? It's more specific, wine millions of years ago. Zeus. Before humans existed. Red. Yes, it didn't have a body. It was more like a giant serpent that only brought destruction to the world. God fought against that thing, but… Gabriel. Did Father defeat him? Red. No, Ghidorah defeated God. Michael. You're lying, there is no other creature stronger than Father. Red. Ghidorah comes from a different universe than this one, he was born when his universe was created, his only purpose is to destroy planets or devour them to become stronger than before and be bigger, but he never thought that there was a creature stronger than him. Sirzechs. What do you mean? Red. This world was protected by Godzilla, a creature superior to God. Their battle shook the entire planet until Godzilla killed him, but I think someone is his reincarnation or his son. Auden. You mean someone Ara's job is to destroy the whole world? Red. Yes. Something like that, but what doesn't make sense to me is that dragon had the essence of someone we know. Sirzechs. By the way, where are you, Issei? Ryu. Who cares about that useless fool? I will destroy Ghidorah myself and show what I am capable of, the strongest Sekiryuutei in history. Red. In case you didn't know, Ghidorah is capable of destroying the world in an instant. He's stronger than Trixia and no one can destroy that thing. Azazel. But you said it was Godzilla, right? Red. Yes, but he died. I don't know if he gave his power to his reincarnation or his son. The soldier runs into the room. Soldier. Lucifer-sama, we have reports that a group of soldiers followed Ghidorah to the portal and we are receiving a transmission. Everyone became serious. Others were intrigued to know where he was. The screen appears and from there a black place is shown, surrounded by soldiers, but below them is Ghidorah's back. Azazel. Report. Soldier. Lord Azazel, we're sorry, but we couldn't allow you to take the children. Azazel. It doesn't matter, they're doing an excellent job, just like there. Soldier. There's nothing here, it's like we're somewhere else, like. Red. The dimensional rift is choosing where to go. Azazel. Try to harm him. The soldiers prepared their attacks and when they were ready they fired them, but what they didn't expect happened because before they touched Void Ghidorah's body they exploded, revealing that he possessed an invisible shield. Soldier. Sir, it seems you have an invisible shield. Sirzechs. Red Void Ghidorah had a shield. Red. This one is completely different. In the recording, Inmedio's head can be seen moving backwards, looking directly at the soldiers who froze in fear. Soldier. Sir, tell my family that I love them very much. Azazel. Get out of there now. Soldiers. It was a pleasure, Lord Azazel-sama. Azazel. Come out. The head, moving at high speed and with a small roar, opens its mouth and the transmission shuts off. Azazel. Is anyone there? Answer me. Is anyone there? Now they understood that it would be useless against the one who had a shield. Sirzechs. We need to assemble a large group to rescue all the children of Void Ghidorah. Rias. Oni-sama, I found Issei. Sirzechs. Well, let's go. In the forest far from the territory, everything was flames and destruction. A magic circle appeared and when everyone came out, they were surprised because it was the place where Ghidorah appeared, scaring many that perhaps Issei had died because of Ghidorah. Sirzechs. Are you sure it's here? Rias. If it's meant to be here it won't be. Ryu. If that useless guy died, all the better. Sona. How can you say that? Ryu. That's the truth, if he died he would be doing a favor to many. Baruko. Shut up. You're the worst. Momo. Here. Everyone goes to where Momo was and sees that it was Issei's clothes, but destroyed. Next to him were the pawn pieces, implying that perhaps he did die and the pieces came from him. Momo. Issei-kun. The Sitri girls started crying, but they heard something moving through the branches and Akeno's familiar came out with some black spots from the smoke. The familiar went straight to Akeno and climbed into her arms. Akeno. I'm glad you're okay, tell me, did you see Issei? The family member nods. Akeno. Where was I? The relative points to where Issei's clothes were next to the pieces. Akeno. Do you know what happened? The familiar was so scared that he had no choice but to explain with his hands. He began to imitate Issei when he arrived. He omitted when he arrived and walked somewhat dazed, screaming and crying until he knelt down and his eyes turned red and he fell unconscious. Azazel. Let's use this instead. He takes out a small helmet that served as a way to see what they saw. When he puts it on, a screen appears and they see that Issei has arrived and shouted, saying that he only wants to be greater than the leaders and for everyone to see him. He repeats the same words and falls unconscious. After a few seconds, he repeats them again, then lets out a roar and the golden beam falls on him. He screams loudly, his horns and wings sprout, surprising everyone and scaring the girls who rejected him. They watched as Issei grew and grew until he transformed into Ghidorah, but the transmission ended because a curtain of dust took him away. Sirzechs. Ghidorah S. Azazel. Issei. Ryu. That useless guy has a lot of power. Rias. Now is the son of Ghidorah. Zeus. We must find that brat before he does something. Azazel. But where is he? In the human world, far from land, or rather the continent, there was a gigantic island, no more than 110 kilometers across. But this island didn't belong to the human world. It was supernatural. On this island, at the edge of the sea, there were 6 girls crying because their parents, who were demons, had abandoned them there. They were born without powers or wings, as if they were human. But suddenly, a portal opened in the sky, letting out Ghidorah, who spread his wings and landed far from the coast, astonishing the girls that such a large monster existed. Ghidorah begins to look around, realizing he's on a giant island where he's decided to stay forever. He notices a colossal mountain nearby, 9,800 meters high and 10,000 meters wide. He lowers his wings and tails forcefully, and his three heads open their mouths, which begin to glow. Then he fires a golden atomic laser beam that starts shattering the rocks. The girls see the beams shifting, creating a massive entrance about 700 meters wide. The beams continue to destroy everything inside, but they're actually creating a huge cave for him and the children inside. As he finishes, he stops shooting and begins walking towards the cave he made. The girls run to follow him until they arrive and see a large golden crystal urn emerge from his chest, and thousands of children come out and begin to scream with excitement at being face to face with a giant dragon. The girls start walking towards the children, but the dragon growls a little as if saying it's time to sleep. The children nod and some settle down in the urn, others stand where Ghidorah's tail was coiled. The girls walk in silence, but the middle head sees them and uses its power to levitate things to draw them closer, placing them near its head. They kiss it and fall asleep. A magic circle of the Sitri clan appears, and Sona's entire entourage emerges. Upon seeing the dragon, they run, and Ghidorah raises its heads. Seeing them, it uses its power to draw them closer, where they cry tears of joy upon recognizing them. Then it places them where the girls were, and they fall asleep embracing the children, who say mama. Ghidorah hears this and in his mind says, I will not let them take what I have recovered, whoever dares to lay a finger on them will know the wrath of Void Ghidorah. Clarifications. You might wonder why Ghidorah's wings and tail are so long. Well, you see, Ghidorah, or rather Issei, was in his adolescent stage, and when he becomes an adult, those wings and tails will remain that length, but his power will grow more and more, just like Godzilla, who measures about 340 meters in his adolescent form and will be even bigger as an adult. Chapter 3. Discovering Ryu's deception and Issei's desire for the world. On the island that is in the middle of nowhere, which was protected by a kind of giant storm that covered the entire island more or less like a barrier. Inside a mountain larger than Mount Everest lay a colossal golden dragon, sleeping with a large number of children it had taken to begin a life on that island. They weren't alone, however, as the Sitri retinue was also sleeping with them. And if you're wondering how they found Ghidorah on the island, well, let's go back a maximum of 3 or 4 hours. Flashback 4 hours ago. After the disaster caused by Ghidorah's appearance in Gremory territory, a maximum of 300 deaths and thousands of injuries have been reported. Some houses could be seen in flames, and the forest looked like a true hell, because everything that was a landscape was now pure fire that continued to spread everywhere. The smoke would rise higher and higher until the other clans could see it a little. We focus on Sirzechs' palace, where he, like everyone else, was frightened because the one who was once useless and weak is now the reincarnation of a dragon born from another universe, whose sole purpose is to destroy worlds and become stronger than before. Azazel. What do we do now? Michael. We must find Issei as soon as possible, otherwise he will turn against us. We already saw what he became, and what is happening outside is like a warning. Sirzechs. We must locate him to bring him here and take away the power he carries within him, just as children must return to their parents. Sona. Are they insane? What will they do with their power when it's taken away? Sirzechs. We will destroy him, and Issei will be sent to purgatory. He took all the children and caused chaos throughout Gremory. Tsubaki. That's absurd. He was just awakening his power. The children went with him because they accepted him. Besides, we discovered that those children suffered from hunger and abuse from their own parents, and their power cannot be destroyed. Great Red. He's right, he was just awakening his power, and if those children went with him, it's because they worship him and can't destroy an unknown power that belongs to another dimension. Young Issei is very well hidden. There's no way they'll find him, and if they do and try to take him away, he will destroy everything supernatural. Sirzechs. Okay, we'll just look for him so he doesn't do anything before it's too late. Big Red. If you try to do anything, I will not be responsible for what happens to you. And so Big Red left, leaving everyone in the room. Sirzechs. Ajuka, you can create a very powerful seal. Ajuka. Yes, I can, but that would take me several minutes. Sirzechs. Do it. Send demons to locate Hyoudou Issei in the human world. Guards. Yes. Michael. Send angels too. Angelus. You. Thus they sent thousands of soldiers as well as angels, fallen angels, demons and Valkyries all over the world to find Issei. In the hallways were Sona's entire entourage walking while discussing the factions. Sona. They're just studying the possibility that they'll find Issei on the planet. Arthur. Yes, first they labeled him useless and weak, but now that he is the reincarnation or son of that void Ghidorah, they already consider him a threat when they themselves have created their threat. And I can't believe Kaicho is in love with a damn dragon. Momo. Shut your mouth, Saji. Saji. Don't you dare silence me, you damned woman. Ria. The only damned one here is you for thinking that we would be in love with a perverted and arrogant man for carrying a dead dragon king. Saji. At least I have a king. What's so special about that useless Issei that I don't have? Sona. Is friendly. Momo. Special. Baruko. He supports us in sad times. Ria. Admires us and loves us as we are. Tsubaki. He's not like other men who only see women as hex objects. Tomo. He gives us advice. Tsubasa. He respects us, that's something he has that you don't. Saji. That weakling is a monster. He's better off dead than alive in this world. At that moment, Ria gave him a powerful blow to his stomach that made him vomit blood, and Biku struck him hard in the back with his staff. Biku? Don't talk to my friend like that. Arthur put his sword to Saji's neck, who felt chills, but then pain because Arthur was starting to raise his sword, but the edge of it was making a cut in his neck, and blood was coming out of it. Sona. It's better that I kick you out of the Sitri clan, you're not worthy of being with us. Thus Sona began to recite the chant of union, but modified, that from Saji's chest, the 4 pawn pieces came out, already implying that he was no longer a demon, until they saw other things, and that was that from him came a purple sphere that went straight to Raruko, giving another understanding that Vitra abandoned Saji's body, and that he was not worthy to be its host. Saji. What the hell? Vitra, come back here. Vitra. You are nobody to give me orders, you are not worthy to be my bear, this girl has immense potential as a pawn, something that you do not have, she loves that boy, but you hate him because he is superior to everyone, and you only desire that power he has. Thus Saji leaves, leaving everyone somewhat happy to be rid of a nuisance and pervert. Momo. Okay, so what are we going to do? Baruko. Vitra-sama, can you sense Issei-kun? Vitra. I can sense it, but it's quite far from the human. They should send a family member to that location to find out if it's there or not. So Vitra creates a magic circle, and from beneath Sona's feet emerges her familiar, a type of purple snake. Sona tells it what to do, and it nods. But they didn't know they were being overheard by a guard in the corner of the wall. The familiar enters the circle, and now they just have to wait. 3 hours pass, and nothing happens until the same circle reappears, and the snake emerges, something black, which makes some of the girls laugh. Fenrir approaches it and licks its head, then leaves with Arthur. Sona. Okay, let's go somewhere else. So they leave, but the guard follows them until they reach a room and leave the door half open. The guard observes what they see. They are reenacting how the serpent arrived on the island, which was in the middle of nowhere. Hours pass, and they see Void Ghidorah appear in the sky until it lands and creates a huge hole in a mountain. It enters the hole, and the urn containing the children emerges from its chest. When the reenactment ends, the guard goes directly to the meeting room where the leaders are listening to their men's report. Sirzechs. Did they find anything? Soldier. No sir, we found nothing, it's as if the earth swallowed it up. At that moment the door bursts open and the same guard comes out. Soldier. Lucifer-sama found Hyoudou Issei. Ryu. Where is my useless brother so I can kill him myself before he destroys the world? Serafal. Did you hear their conversation? Bard. Yes, can Azazel-sama create a map of the human world? Azazel nods his head and creates a technological map showing the entire planet. Bard. Get closer to that swirling cloud vortex. Everyone saw that there was a large whirlpool spinning until they got closer, but there was nothing in the eye until he said. Bard. Now show the supernatural combined with the human. So Azazel shows the map, and everyone is surprised because there was a large island in the eye. Sirzechs. Is it there then? Bard. Yes, and they also removed the young Saji from the Sitri clan, and Vitra no longer wants him as a bear. Michael. Well, now to find out if it's there we need to send something. Azazel. I will send 3 drones to that island to find out if she is there or not. But they don't realize that outside the castle, Sona and her entourage open a circle and go straight to the island where Issei was. Then flashback. Issei is seen in his Ghidorah form sleeping with the children, and the girls are also asleep with a smile on their faces. But some distance away, 3 bright things are seen approaching the island from the sky. These were drones that Azazel sent to find out if Issei was on the island. The 3 drones split up and went to different parts of the island, but they didn't find anything until one of them did. Lucifer's castle underworld. In the hall, everyone, including the council members, gathers to find Issei and bring him back into their ranks. Ajuka. Those are steps. Everyone can see that the recording shows the entire forest destroyed and footprints on the ground. Azazel. If that boy is there. Councilman 1. Azazel, I can see that something on that mountain moved. Everyone sees the mountain, but it seems strange to them because it had a huge hole and some rocks were falling as if something was doing it. So Azazel moves his control and the three drones advance towards the mountain where they see more footprints on the ground that lead them inside. Ajuka. Azazel, let a drone in. Azazel nods and one of them enters, but the others see that there were marks in the hole. Azazel. That's weird, I'll put it on thermal reading. So they put it into thermal imaging and what they saw surprised them as there was a huge amount of energy stuck to the wall, so high that no being could possibly possess it. Then the drone that had entered began to make a sound, indicating that something was moving. Switching to night vision, they could see that the interior of the mountain was immense. Then they saw something else that chilled them to the bone. Something beginning to rise. Then they saw it again, Ghidorah, showing its middle head, which the drone could see. Azazel was about to move it when, at great speed, it destroyed the drone, leaving the other two heads. The second one began to retreat, but it was destroyed by a lightning bolt from the storm. The third managed to get away before Ghidorah could destroy it. Azazel. Well, it's confirmed he's there. Sir. I've returned and we need to know if the children are okay. Azazel. Sigh, okay. So Azazel turns the drone around, which was faster, and gets below. Above, the middle head is seen looking outside to see if they were returning or not, but then it goes back to its place and falls asleep. The drone starts capturing all the children sleeping around the dragon and those alone in the room. They sigh with relief knowing they were okay, but they see that on the middle head, next to it, are Sona and her entourage along with some sleeping girls. Serafal. Is Sona-chan with him? Ryu. What are they doing with that monster? Sirzechs. They should have gone before Azazel sent his drones. But by mistake the drone made a sound and this time it was the three heads that raised their heads and upon seeing the drone, they only grunted in annoyance until they opened their mouths and rays came out of them that destroyed the drone, but these rays hit the storm directly, which began to shine until the island of the supernatural disappeared. Sirzechs. What happened? Why did the island disappear? Azazel. He's in the human world. It seems Issei doesn't want us to look for him. Counselor 2. Okay, we'll go to that island tomorrow. The next morning the whole island looked peaceful, or something like that. Birds flew above the trees and others below, but inside the mountain Ghidorah was seen waking from his sleep. Seeing all the children still asleep, he had no choice but to roar loudly, waking them all up. Upon seeing Ghidorah, they just smiled and said, "Hello, Dragon Sama." Thus Ghidorah, seeing that his secret loves were awakening, could only grunt as if saying good morning. They smiled with joy at seeing him. Sona and her entourage see the 6 girls who felt somewhat shy upon seeing them. Sona. Hello, who are you? Girl 1. Hello, I'm Elena. Girl 2. Hello, it's a pleasure, my name is Hella. Girl 3. It's a pleasure, my name is Carla. Girl 4. Hello, my name is Krista. Girl 5. It's a pleasure, my name is Ellen. Girl 6. My name is Alice. So they tell him that their parents abandoned them on the island because they had no power or magic and were like humans, and Ghidorah didn't like that because it reminded him a lot of himself until he hears everyone's stomachs growling loudly. Sona. Oh, very well, children, go around the island while Ghidorah goes to get some food. The children nod their heads and go to explore. Issei. Ghidorah lowers his head and the girls stroke it until after that he leaves the mountain and goes straight to the water's edge where his wings appear and he begins to walk until he enters the water and disappears in the distance. In the underworld, everyone was ready to go to the island where Issei and the children were located. Azazel. Are you sure it's a good idea? Sirzechs. Yes, he took the children and now he is a being with a power that he may not be able to control and that is why we must go to him. Issei. I just want to see that useless guy to find out if he's doing perverted things with those poor girls and Sona. Ryu. He's definitely raping them. Issei's mother. Okay, that's enough, we have to go and stop him. They all nod their heads and open a magic circle that takes them to the island. In the human world, somewhere in the ocean of Japan, Ghidorah is seen chasing large schools of fish, as well as sharks, sailfish and others, for the children, and so that they last a maximum of 3 months, getting food. He moved with an impressive speed, faster than any other sea creature. He opened the ribs on his chest and a current drew fish into his body, which was like an endless space. Once inside, the fish were paralyzed. Ghidorah continued moving through the water, catching more and more fish, but leaving some behind or rather, multiplying those already inside, because his power was to multiply whatever he touched. He was multiplying the fish more and more, but he didn't notice that he was passing over a fishing boat. He didn't pay it any mind until he saw a large group of blue and humpback whales. Upon seeing him, they began to flee, trying to avoid being eaten, but they didn't succeed. Some were swallowed by Ghidorah's eye, leaving only one very large blue whale, which was the one trying to escape. Up on the surface, fishermen can be seen watching as something large took the whales away, without leaving a trace or blood. Sailor 1. Over there. Point directly at something that moved. Sailor 3. What is that? Then they heard the sound of a whale, as if it were dying, until the worst happened because right before their eyes Ghidorah appeared, holding the blue whale in its mouth, its teeth embedded in Emidio's body. The men began recording the beast to inform the authorities. Once they had what they wanted, they saw Ghidorah descend and dive into the depths of the water, raising a huge wave that they all entered. They saw the wave hit them and push them a little away. Then they came out and saw it leaving a trail of blood until it stopped bleeding, and Ghidorah swam away. They quickly started the engines and went straight to the dock, which was somewhat close by. The sailors who were on the dock were able to see the dragon come out and then go back in. Those who recorded it ran away, followed by others who wanted to know what it was. When they arrived at the police station, they told the officers, but they didn't believe them. However, when they saw the video, they were speechless because it was real. He asked them to give him the recording so he could inform his superiors who were in charge of it. So they took the video and showed it to their superior, who was speechless upon seeing it, especially upon seeing its immense size, so they decided to send some helicopters to find out where it was headed, or at least where it came from. 3 police helicopters and a news helicopter were seen in the sky recording the event. The video was uploaded to the news, and everyone who saw the thing that ate a whale was so scared that they didn't want to swim again. In the water, Ghidorah is seen swimming back to the island, but he sees something in the depths that surprises him. A huge shark, at most 40 meters long or more. He also sees a sperm whale of the same size, which he takes advantage of. At great speed, he opens his mouth wide, grabbing them both. They try to escape, but they can't because the shark tightens its grip until they are dead. Then he surfaces and is spotted by helicopters and some police boats, who start their engines and give chase. News helicopter. We're flying over the beast that ate a blue whale. We can see that it's gigantic and golden. Could it be a golden beast that has been asleep for millions of years? The police began firing tracking devices, but when they tried to make contact, a shield prevented it, suggesting that the creature had a shield or was of a different origin. The helicopters saw it submerge deeper and deeper until it disappeared into the dark water. Police Officer 2. Where did he go? Police Officer 1. We need to stay in formation. Can helicopters see this? But suddenly, an explosion occurred in the water, rising several meters into the air, revealing 2 giant golden wings. From there emerged an enormous golden dragon with 3 heads and 2 very long tails, which began to rise and fly straight ahead. The others followed it until, after 30 kilometers, they saw a huge storm in the distance with blood-red lightning. It was incredibly tall, as if it were protecting or hiding something behind it. The helicopters began to malfunction, so they had to stop and watch as the dragon continued flying until it entered the storm and disappeared into the dark clouds. They turned around and left, and with what they had learned, they now understood that there was a hidden island far from Japan, 110 kilometers away. Back on the island, Donya and the others were doing things inside the mountain, like making a huge cooler for what Issei was going to bring. A magic circle appeared, and out came Momo, Haruko, and Tsubaki with groceries and things like refrigerators they had bought in the underworld. But the circle grew larger and larger until a large amount of groceries, like vegetables, cereals, and other things, came out. They put them in a small cave, but further inside it was enormous. As they turned around, another circle appeared with a Gremory symbol, so their faces changed to serious ones, since they didn't want to see them again. From there came 20 demon soldiers, the members of the demon council, the leaders, different clans, and Ryu's girls, who, upon seeing the entire giant cave, were surprised that a mountain larger than Mount Everest existed, until they saw Sona and her entourage approaching them with serious faces. Sona. What are you doing here? Sirzechs. We came for Issei. Where is he? Sona. I shouldn't tell you that. Serafol. Sona-chan, Issei is a danger to the factions, so you must tell us where he is. Momo. Just because he has obtained unimaginable power doesn't mean he will use it to destroy us all. Ryu. That bastard is a monster and must be killed. Advisor 1. In that the pillar is right, he must die otherwise it will be the end of everyone. Tsubaki. No, and this is the final warning. Michael. We didn't want it to end like this, do it. The angels shoot arrows at them, but when they try to make contact, an invisible shield prevents it. Sirzechs. How did they do that? That shield belongs to Sona. If it's from Issei, since we were in contact with him, his shield was with us. Azazel. Girls, you must understand that. Eric. Ghidorah emerged from the storm island in the distance, and the children, upon seeing him, began running straight to the cave to eat. Ghidorah touched down and started walking towards the cave, but upon seeing the leaders inside, he made an angry face. He had no choice but to enter, and the leaders, seeing him with a huge shark in his mouth, were frightened, especially when he released it. It fell beside them, and the blood stained them a little. He then released a sperm whale, which also stained them, and they heard a growl from him, like laughter. The children, upon entering and seeing the leaders, made serious faces, but upon seeing the shark and sperm whale, they smiled because they would eat shark and sperm whale. Ghidorah opened his mouth and caught the two again, but began to walk directly to where he himself had made a place to put very large things, in this case, shark and sperm whale. When his eyes glowed, a stone lid lifted, and inside there was ice and water. He opened his ribs, and from his hole came a great number of fish, sharks, and whales, so much so that even the leaders were surprised that more and more continued to come out until he stopped and closed the hole in his chest, then put the lid back in place and turned around, after which he began to glow and shrink. The light fades, and then they hear footsteps until they see a new Issei with golden hair and bloodshot eyes. He's the same height, but his face reflects only hatred and anger towards them for discovering where he now lives. Issei. What are you doing on my island? Ryu. You better shut your useless mouth. Issei, at great speed, delivers a powerful blow to his stomach, causing him to vomit a large amount of blood. He then places his hand on his shoulder, electrocuting him and causing him to scream in pain. Finally, he kicks him, sending him flying and crashing into the wall, burying him in it. Issei. Largo. Sirzechs. You can't take your belongings with us. Issei. I won't go with anyone, this is my home. Azazel. You do not possess great power. You are a danger to everyone in the world. Issei. Haha. Ajuka. Listen carefully, you will come with us or else. Issei. Or what, you filthy demon. You or anyone else has the right to tell us where to go or who to serve. Be grateful I didn't destroy the entire Gremory clan. The children I took with me are happy here now and will remain so forever. They can go to the human world. Sirzechs. They belong to the underworld. You have no right to say where they should be. Issei. What will you do? Are you going to kill me? No one is capable of killing me, as those absurd angels and demons saw. Oh, by the way. It opens a portal where bones of fallen angels and demons with their armor emerge. Issei. They tasted horrible, but I had no choice but to eat them to live. At that moment, Issei's shield appeared because Ryu tried to hit him. Issei. Wow, the red dragon has already recovered a little from a simple blow. Ryu. You damn fool, do you think you're better than me just because you have that power? You're nothing, and I'll have way too much fun with those women. Issei gets angry and raises his power a little, which was the same power as Trixia, and with 2 blows to his ribs he kneels and vomits more blood, but from his 2 tails come out that have spikes which he put on his neck. Issei. You'd better tell us who really defeated each enemy and that someone stole those achievements. Ryu. Rot in hell, I'll never say anything because those achievements are mine. Issei. Well, you asked for it. The spikes in their neck slowly pierced them, but they transmitted a red liquid that made Ryu scream in pain. Issei. Tell the truth. Ryu. Okay, I'll say it, Issei was the real hero. I just wanted those achievements and those women who were going to be with him. Issei. You see, it's not difficult to tell the truth. He took out the picks and thought he would stop, but suddenly he felt like he was missing an arm, and when he turned to look at his right arm, he saw that it was on the ground. Ryu. Ai. Issei. Now that you know the truth, what will you do? Sirzechs. That's not true. Ryu was the one who truly defeated everyone. Sona. That's not true. He took away his achievements. He only wanted the women who would be with Issei out of jealousy and envy. He made up lies throughout the academy and in the underworld. Rias. That's not true. Issei. Drake, would you do me the honor? Dragon. It's Issei-sama. Thus Drake shows a recording of Ryu stealing Issei's achievements, his thoughts upon seeing that he would do all that, and the girls, just as Issei helped him to distance him from all the girls, and take away what he would have in the future, and make him believe that he was a weak human without power. In the end, everyone had a look of hatred, anger, disappointment, and resentment towards Ryu and Issei. Issei. Yu-san. Her mother slapped her so hard she fell to the ground, and Issei began to rub her cheek as tears streamed from her eyes. Issei's mother. I'm disappointed in you, just like Ryu. How could you do that to your brother? You made everyone, including us, hate Ramos just because of your jealousy and envy. Issei's father. We took away their family name, but they will continue to live in the house. Sirzechs. From now on, Ryu and Issei cease to be the pillars of the factions, and the girls who were with Ryu have their commitments broken. Ryu glared at Issei with hatred, summoned Ascalon, and attempted to stab him, but Issei felt something else enter him. He looked down and saw a golden spike in his stomach until Issei extracted Drake. Issei. Drake deserves a good holder, not this garbage. He then kicks Ryu in the stomach and sends him flying. Issei. Now get out of here and don't come back asking for help. I did a lot for you, but I only earned your hatred and you agreed to send me to purgatory. Sirzechs. Issei yo. Issei. I said it long. So, out of fear, they have no other choice and leave, leaving Issei and the others there, but he feels someone hug him, and it was Sona. Sona. Calm. Issei. I don't want anything to happen to them. Momo. Don't worry, Issei-chan, nothing will happen to us because we'll be together forever. Baruko. Yes. Issei. Alright. Come on everyone, it's time to eat. The children start running straight to some large rectangular tables. There were a lot of jugs with orange or tangerine juice. Things in the underworld didn't go very well when everyone found out about the pillar's deception. They began to hate him, and even Office and Great Red took his blood and flesh, making him a human demon again. Rias and the others cried non-stop for believing in someone and giving their first time to a pervert who only wanted them as objects. The leaders were now alone without Issei. Now that humans knew Ghidorah's location, they wouldn't waste any time going to the island and destroying it. But elsewhere in the ocean, something awoke when Ghidorah passed through the sea, and that something, now that it knew he had awakened, would have to fight him again. News. Hello everyone, my name is Guillermo de los Santos Castellanos, the one who created the Void King. In this story, Void Ghidorah will increase in size because he is in his adolescent stage, and Godzilla Earth is larger, not 300 meters tall, but more. The titans from Godzilla, the king of the monsters, will be there, but somewhat larger. Ghidorah will be able to shrink and grow in his adult form, just like Godzilla Earth. There will also be Moon Ghidorah, which will be pieces of Sona. The army will believe that Ghidorah is here only to destroy the world, and that's why they'll send planes and other things in the next chapter, which will be titled Godzilla Earth Appears and More Problems Arise. See you soon, I'll send the chapter on Wednesday. Goodbye and long live Void Ghidorah. Chapter 4. Godzilla Earth Appears and More Problems Arise. 4 days have passed since Issei told the leaders the truth with Drake's help, and things haven't gone as planned. The mythological factions left the alliance, knowing Issei did everything for them, but seeing that they ignored him, they left. Ryu lost his popularity in both the human and supernatural worlds, constantly blaming his brother for revealing the truth. At school, some girls wanted to apologize to Issei, but when they learned he hadn't appeared, they were saddened. The boys now beat up Ryu for lying to them and accusing his own brother. Ryu's former harem tried to go to the island where Issei now lives, but a shield blocked their path. He knew they would come to apologize, but he didn't want that. He wanted them to leave him alone. Now we focus on Issei's island, or rather Void Ghidorah. We can see several children playing in the forest, some of them drawing the animals they saw there, but on the mountain we see Issei in his human form, helping Sona and the others to cook, since they now had to feed thousands of children, but Issei discovered that he could create clones of himself like shadows, but made of crystal, and they started to make the food. Sona approaches Issei who was leaning against the entrance wall, watching the children play and swim in the water, but others fly and control their power. Sound. Ice kun. Issei. Dime Sona. Sona. You must go back to school tomorrow. Issei became serious and turned his gaze back to the children. Issei. No, I won't come back here. The children need me, and besides, the island is starting to grow every day. And if the island starts to grow larger and larger every day, it now measures 140 kilometers in length but continues to increase. Issei. It's not normal for this to happen, I have to stabilize the island's mass underwater. If I don't and they're left alone, the island will collapse. Sona. We'll do it today, and the houses for the children are almost finished, but since you're so big, we'll leave spaces for you to go out. Issei. No, I don't want to go back to that place. It doesn't bring back good memories. Sona. Don't do it for me, do it for us, Issei, and for them. Issei began to think, and then, seeing the children and their secret partners, whom he still hadn't told them about out of fear. Issei. Okay, I'll go tomorrow. Sona. Thank you. So Sona gives Issei a kiss on the lips, who was shocked but then reciprocated, seen by everyone who had a smile on their faces, and the Sitri girls were jealous, as was Caddis, who I forgot had been on the island for a long time. Issei. Sona. Sona. Issei, I've wanted to tell you for a long time that I like you. Issei. Sona, you know, I also started to feel something for you and the others, but I was afraid that they wouldn't reciprocate my feelings. Tomo approaches and takes Issei's hands. Tomo. You fool, how could you think we wouldn't accept your feelings for you? We love you because you don't see us as objects in a perverted way. You see us as people. You help us and make us happy every time you're with us during the saddest moments of our lives. Momo. You are a fun person, that's why we love you so much. The little girl grabs Issei's hand and gestures for him to pick her up, so Issei picks her up and she puts her cheek against Issei's. Girl. Besides making us all happy to be able to live here in such a beautiful place, we always wanted to come to the human world and now that we are here it makes us happy. Issei. I'm glad, but you know, they'll still go to schools in Japan since they need to learn about humans. Nina. Hi Issei-sama. Issei. Haha, you remind me of myself when I was little. Well, go play, the food's almost ready, so go ahead, but be careful. Remember I'm putting underground tunnels in case of any problems. So the children went off to play again. In the more specific space in another part of the universe, several giant ships like motherships could be seen flying in cruise mode. Inside, several shadows could be seen walking, and among them, small ones. So the machine is almost ready. If it's almost at 100% capacity, sir, the trip will take 4 minutes. Yes, returning to an alternate world, but at least we can live in peace. Remember that he is also there, that golden demon did not die for anything, he can travel to different dimensions and universes to increase his power. Yes, but in that land there are also giant monsters that we can just stand by and do nothing when they wake up and wipe everyone out. Elsewhere on the ship, in a cell, a young man with black hair could be seen watching a hologram of Void Ghidorah as a snake destroying the entire planet. You're with them, aren't you? I know you're still alive, and when I see you again, I'll finish you off. Returning to Earth in the normal universe. Issei was in his Ghidorah form underwater, more specifically in the depths more than 13 kilometers below, where with his power golden crystals appeared in every part of the island to ensure that it did not sink. In Japan. In the barracks, several Japanese generals were talking about the dragon, that is, Ghidorah, to figure out what to do because, according to them, it is a threat to the world. President of Japan. Listen, we don't know what Aura is, that dragon, but it's a threat and that's why we're sending soldiers to that island. It's very large and according to satellite reports, new parts are appearing every day and it will continue to grow larger and larger until it's the size of a continent, making it much harder for us to locate the dragon. General of the forces. We don't know if it's a threat. Besides, it didn't attack the planes or helicopters when they were right next to it. It's as if. Naval General. I wouldn't want to do anything. The president of China has also reported sightings of Ghidorah flying or even swimming, terrifying many but not others who consider it a god. President of China. If he is a threat, it is foolish that many people in my city consider him a god. President of Russia. It's normal, they even say it in mine, according to a legend, or rather an ancient one, that speaks of this golden dragon and another creature that fought on this planet when the continent was one. President of Japan. That is, Pangaea. President of Russia. If, as the legend says, those who remained eternally asleep will find their successors and start the battle again, but one day the planet they all walk on will grow in size, because other beasts like them will awaken from their eternal sleep and dominate the whole world, but not before two bone-biting snakes arrive. President of Japan. It's a stupid legend that believes the earth will change. President of China. Okay, that's enough. What will we do with that dragon? President of Japan. Exterminate it as soon as possible. We will send some warships, 4 aircraft carriers, 50 helicopters, 10 cargo planes, and 60 warplanes in 2 days, since that thing is very large. General. Agreed, Mr. President. The next morning, thousands of kilometers away, a giant shadow is seen moving somewhat slowly towards land or perhaps Japan. Issei was flying in his human form with his golden wings, and above him was a floating crystal urn containing 100 children, because they were starting their first day of classes at a very large school that has contact with the supernatural. Obviously, they accepted the children into it. When Issei left the children, many girls stared at him because he was very attractive and also because they knew that he was Void Ghidorah, since the memory of Akeno's familiar was transmitted throughout the underworld and supernatural realm. Issei went to the academy because he would return soon, but before arriving he stopped in an alley and hid his wings since he was flying with them, but he didn't realize that a boy with black hair and grey eyes saw him and was somewhat serious. Issei leaves but is seen by all the boys since they recognized him instantly because he has the same hairstyle, but not the same color. He entered the academy and all the girls looked at him sadly, others with their eyes filled with love because of how cute he was, until he entered his classroom. Professor. Excuse me, who are you? Issei. Wow, Professor, I leave for a week and he's already forgotten me, but oh well, it's normal since I don't exist for everyone and I'm worthless. Professor. Young Issei, I thought you disappeared. Why did you return? Issei. Because my girlfriend Sona-chan asked me to come back here, even though I didn't want to see your faces again, since it brings back memories of how you beat me up and you, like many others, did nothing but ignore me. The teacher became sad because it was true that he, like many teachers and even the principal, did nothing to stop Issei from being bullied. Issei entered the classroom and sat down, but he was seen by Asia, Zenobia, Issei, and Ryu, who looked at him with hatred and disgust. Classes continued, where Issei didn't pay attention, but answered the questions correctly. At recess, Asia, Zenobia, Issei, and Ryu went to the Lara Club to inform them that Issei was at the academy, and obviously Rias would call her brother and the other leaders to talk to him. Issei was walking straight to the student council when 5 third-year students stood in front of him. Issei. May I ask what you want? Boy. Is it true that you're dating Sona? Issei. If it's true, what? Boy too. You'd better stay away from her because she, like the others, belongs to us. Issei. Ha 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 from you guys. Ha, you guys can't even attract girls because you're not as cute as Kiba or Ryu, but now you guys show up when I mention that Sona is my girlfriend. Boy 4. She's ours and you're nothing. He tries to hit him, but he stops him with his hand and gives him a strong blow to his chest, breaking several ribs and knocking the wind out of him, even leaving him half dead because he hit him near his heart. The others, seeing this, were frightened, but their arrogance and pride overcame them, and they went to him. But he only sighed, and when he opened his eyes, the boys swore they saw them turn blood red in a second. Issei stops a kick with his fingers and punches him in the groin, so the boys nearby cover their privates. Then he punches him in the leg, breaking it. The boy screams in pain and even cries for him to let go, but he sees one of them about to hit him. He puts the guy in front of him, taking the blow and knocking out 4 teeth, sending him to the ground. The guy who punched him tries to hit Issei, but with a quick punch, he breaks his nose and then kicks him in the stomach, knocking the wind out of him. He slams his open hand against Issei's neck, leaving him speechless on the ground. He stops the other guy's hand and breaks his wrist, then grabs him to warn everyone. Issei. Listen carefully. From today onwards, anyone who tries to hit or touch Sona and the girls will suffer the same consequences as those below my feet, understood? Everyone nods their heads, and some girls go to the infirmary where they are very surprised to see the boy's condition. Upon entering the council, Issei encountered an unpleasant surprise. The leaders were standing before him, looking at him seriously, and some with fear, as he was releasing a little of his power. I see. What are you doing here? Sirzechs. I am here to talk to you. Issei. I made it very clear to them that I don't want to see them again and that they shouldn't involve me in their affairs. Azazel. Kid, humans already know about you. I see. So? That's what interests me, if they enter the island they won't be able to leave again. Sirzechs. What are you talking about? Issei. Entering the island is easy because there aren't many lightning strikes and other surprises, but the problem is leaving because the lightning is more intense and appears every second that passes. Ryu. And those rays won't be able to defeat me. Issei. In case you didn't know, Drake abandoned your body and now Iruko is the Sekiryuutei. Ryu. What? Iruko. If Drake entered me when you were in contact with Senpai. Then the booster Gar materialized, but now it was different. Tennis shoes with gold touches, some black, and a kind of black fire drawing. Drake. Unlike you, this girl is very good to me, so much so that now that the power I had connected with Issei joined her and having me in her body, my power increased so much that booster Gar evolved even more. Ryu. Damn lizard. Sirzechs. We owed it to ourselves to discuss the matter of Issei. You will come with us. Issei. No, period. Sirzechs. I think you leave us no choice. You're a danger to everyone in the world. I'm sorry, now. Ajuka nods and beneath Issei begins to glow, and around him triangle-shaped seals begin to enclose Issei until they close. Sona. Why did they do it? Rias. He's a danger, he's someone who can't control his power. Sona. Of course, now that he possesses a power superior to everyone, they are afraid that he will turn against humanity and the supernatural. Sirzechs. This conversation is over. Sona and her entourage will return to the underworld as punishment for betraying a dangerous being. Sona was furious but changed to a smile. Seraphil. What's so funny? Sona. That seal is the strongest. Then the seal reappears, but suddenly cracks begin to appear, glowing yellow until it explodes into pieces, sending the pieces that were stuck in the walls flying. Issei. It's stupid that they think they can lock me up with that. Ajuka. What? I used all my magic to create that seal. It could even hold the Trixia for millions of years. Issei. Well, it's a very weak seal, listen to me carefully. Sirzechs at incredible speed, he grabs Sirzechs by the neck. Come back into my life, try to take Sona back to the underworld, and I'll pay a little visit to your dear son and wife. Sirzechs was trembling with fear for the second time, as he could see reflected in Issei's eyes what would happen if they reappeared in Issei's life. He saw the entire underworld in flames and his wife being raped by rogue demons, his son also being turned into a girl by several demons and other creatures. Issei releases Sirzechs, who tells him that he will never bother him again. With that, he leaves with the others back to the underworld. Issei was already tired of them bothering him, and to make sure that they didn't send Sona to the underworld, he put impenetrable invisible seals or shields on them just in case. After classes ended, Issei and the girls returned to the school where the children were, who smiled with joy when Issei created the urn and took them away. The next morning, several more specific destroyers, 4 or 5 aircraft carriers, were seen on the coast of the armed forces barracks, helicopters ready to depart, and planes fully equipped and ready, including cargo planes carrying 40 soldiers, to mover bombs, and other weapons. Thus they depart, leaving the base to head to the island where Ghidorah is located. In the distance, a shadow underwater gets closer and closer, but on the surface you can see metal plates coming out like leaves with spikes and lines like patterns. But this creature was so big that in the water it roars and moves faster. The military personnel were already facing the storm of clouds and electricity. The clouds reached down to the water and were 12,000 meters high. Captain. Listen up, we must stay together as a group. We don't know what's on the other side or inside the storm, so get out of here. We have a mission and we must complete it. So they set off, but they don't realize that 3 news helicopters are following them. The military slowly ventured into the storm, but what they didn't expect was that thousands of red lightning bolts were dancing, or rather appearing, everywhere. The helicopters evaded or dodged the lightning bolts that appeared. One was losing control when he didn't realize a lightning bolt had struck him, causing him to explode. He kept moving until he collided with another, which also caught fire, and they fell onto the wings of a cargo plane. Those inside closed their eyes and felt themselves falling lower and lower until they hit the sea and sank into the depths. Some were already starting to feel afraid, especially of what was in front of them. There were a large number of tornadoes moving everywhere. The warplanes, being faster, managed to dodge many tornadoes, but 3 didn't make it because 4 lightning bolts struck them, setting their wings on fire. They entered the eye of the tornado where they exploded and set the tornado ablaze, as did others, now becoming fire tornadoes. When they got through all that, they managed to get out of the storm and saw a great landscape, a large island with mountains 400 and 600 meters high. They could see several children playing on the ground, but when they saw the planes and other things, they started running straight ahead. Soldier. Incredible, there were children here. Soldier 2. For some reason, it's clear these kids aren't normal. Soldier 3. Why do you say that? Soldier. Well, because there's a child flying above us. Above them, thousands of children can be seen flying with their demon wings, which impress the soldiers and others, but on the ground they see footprints of a giant animal never seen before. Soldier. What creature could have left those large footprints? Soldier 2. Maybe that dragon. General. Attention. We're about to land. The cargo planes landed in a field where 300 demon children were nearby, watching the humans arrive. When the soldiers landed, they got out and took their weapons because they saw that these children were not normal. 20 helicopters went further because they saw the mountain. News crews arrived and saw the military on the ground. The whole world watched the military arrive on the island. Many hoped to kill the beast, while others were worried because they would be killing a being that only seeks peace and to create a better world. Returning to the island. The general approaches a child who was protecting his sister. General. My name is General Jack of Japan. Boy, nice to meet you, I'm Thomas. General. Tell me, Thomas, haven't you seen a golden dragon? Thomas. Yes, in fact, he's the one who takes care of us. General. Don't play with that dragon, it's a danger to everyone in the world and to you too, what are you doing on this island? Thomas. He is not a danger, he only wants to bring a better world without bringing destruction to everyone. He brought us here because of where our mothers came from. General. Well, now that we're here, we'll return them to their mothers where they belong. Thomas. No, he would get angry. General. That's an order. You can't decide that they leave. The children recognized the voice, and it was Sona Sitri who had an angry face because they had entered the island and now wanted the children to go back to their real homes. General. You're the one who stays to take care of these children, right? And I help take them away. Sona. Yes. General. He will come with us because that is kidnapping children who don't belong here. Girl. We are not human. Then they all took out their demon wings, scaring everyone because there were thousands of them and only a few of them. General. This can't be happening, we'll take you to Japan to find out if you're not a threat. Put them on the planes. The children tried to escape, but the soldiers blocked their path, forcing them into airplanes. One plane took off and was already far away when, out of nowhere, a golden beam struck the area where the pilots were, causing the plane to crash. But then, suddenly, the plane stopped, puzzling everyone until they saw it enveloped in a golden light. The plane carefully lowered itself, and then. Ruair. Aurora echoed, bringing a smile to Sona's face because she knew who it was. Everyone turned and saw 3 helicopters flying overhead, engulfed in flames, before crashing to earth and exploding. They heard explosions and heavy footsteps. The children shouted with joy because before them stood Void Ghidorah, now much larger, in its adult form, measuring 560 meters. Its necks and heads were now somewhat different. It's the one on the right, but imagine they had 2 more horns, but bigger and a little longer. They were impressed to see that it was now different. Their necks measured 120 meters long, their bodies were now larger, their legs became a little longer and bigger, their tails lengthened more or less, but their wings did not. The dragon was clearly furious, and when its right head saw a ship about to fire at them, it launched a yellow laser-like beam from its mouth that split the ship in 2, causing it to begin sinking. The soldiers, seeing the dragon approaching, began to tremble with fear. The helicopters started launching everything they had: missiles, bullets, and other projectiles, but when they tried to hit, they exploded, and they realized there was an invisible shield protecting it. News helicopter. Man. This is amazing. Apparently, the dragon possesses an invisible shield that no weapon can penetrate. The people of the world were now terrified as they saw that it was impossible to kill him, but those who considered him a god were happy that he could continue to live. Returning to the island. Ghidorah opens its mouth and golden beams shoot out, destroying the ships and helicopters that were firing at it. Many were trying to escape, and the soldiers on the ground ran to the ships, but they took off, leaving them there to their fate. Ghidorah lets out a powerful roar that glows and sends out a destructive electromagnetic pulse that will cause those who did not manage to enter the storm to explode and fall into the sea. General. Isn't this true? Sona. But it is, they made my boyfriend angry by coming in here. General. What do you mean your boyfriend is a dragon? Sona. He has a human form, which he can take whenever he wants. But. Void Ghidorah and the children, upon hearing that roar, became somewhat serious because they knew who it was, since Issei had told Sona about Godzilla. Flashback. Issei. Sona, if he appears, I want you to go to the shelters. Sona. What shelters are you talking about and who is he? Issei. Godzilla, the creature that killed my father and who has now found his successor. I saw him today when I arrived in Kuoh. I built tunnels more than a kilometer underground, protected by glass walls that will prevent tremors. Sona. But. Issei. I'll show you the battle in which they each killed one of them. That's how the battle went, just remove the fact that Hero appeared and imagine that after that Godzilla dies from radiation exhaustion. Issei. That was the battle the 2 of them fought. Sona. I didn't think that would happen. Issei. My father almost succeeded in destroying the earth, but if it weren't for Godzilla, we wouldn't have existed. Then flashback. Sona. Go to the mountain now. The children run away and others begin to fly, followed by the 100 soldiers who remained behind. Those who entered the mountain, well, they entered, but at the exit, only pieces of planes, helicopters, and soldiers floated. You might wonder how they were destroyed. Well, you see, entering the island is easy, but leaving is not so simple, since when they tried to leave, more lightning appeared, as well as tornadoes that destroyed the aircraft carriers and sent them flying. But 3 managed to survive and get on a boat and go to Japan, but not before seeing the dorsal plates of an unwanted guest that entered the storm, or rather, the island. On the island, all the children managed to reach the mountain, as did Sona's entourage, who already knew where the tunnel was, since Issei had shown it to them. They entered and began to run, and along the way everything began to glow, illuminating their path. Above them, Ghidorah continued waiting for the one who roared. Then you hear, or rather see, a mountain come crashing down, raising a lot of dust, making it hard to see what caused it. The news helicopters were flying higher than usual because they didn't feel good about being left behind. In the dust cloud, something began to glow blue until a thin blue atomic beam shot out towards him, but because he had the shield, it was difficult, but it pushed Ghidorah a little. The ground begins to tremble until he sees him, the one who annihilated his father Godzilla Earth. It had a maximum height of 400 meters and a length of 930 meters. The 2 titans who fought millions of years ago were staring at each other. People were surprised to see a being of the same size but different. The faction saw the enormous beast and wondered, how do they know about him? Well, they sent some soldiers to see what was happening on the island. These soldiers looked at Godzilla with fear of what might happen. On the island, Godzilla roars with hatred, but Ghidorah roars with anger upon seeing him in his home. Godzilla begins to run, but due to his size and weight of 130,000 tons, he quickly moves towards him. Ghidorah, with his wings, begins to run as if he were swimming, but with speed, determined to finish him off once and for all. When they are close, they collide, and a shockwave travels everywhere, pushing the storm further away from the island. Godzilla, having Ghidorah within reach, strikes him on the right head with his claw, causing him to roar in pain. He then swiftly sinks his teeth into Ghidorah's shoulder, who roars in pain and tries to strike back, but the middle head opens its mouth and fires a red beam that hits him in the chest. The right head releases him, and they spin their bodies, delivering a double tail whip to Godzilla, who falls to the ground. Ghidorah fires gravity beams that push Godzilla far away, only for him to begin destroying everything and crash into a mountain that collapses on top of him. He rises from the rubble, and his dorsal plates glow, emitting blue beams. A ring of rays emerges from his dorsal fin and begins to move in front of Godzilla. In this case, his mouth shrinks into a small sphere until it fires an atomic beam, but because Ghidorah's shield is present, it doesn't impact his body. The right and left heads abruptly lower their wings and their mouths open, blowing at the entrance where a strange sound is present, and they fire a thin yellow atomic beam that hits Godzilla, who roars in pain, but then stops roaring because he also possesses an invisible asymmetrical shield. Ghidorah notices this, so the middle head raises its neck and a strange symbol appears above its mouth. It fires hundreds of golden beams that shoot into the sky, but its head lowers and the beams strike its dorsal fin, causing it to explode and lose some dorsal plates. Ghidorah takes advantage of this and takes flight, grabbing Godzilla with its legs and burying its claws in its left and right abdomens, letting out a roar of pain. Ghidorah flies a short distance, but slams Godzilla to the ground and drags him hundreds of meters. Once on the ground, they open their mouths and fire red and gold beams. Just like in the storm, thousands of beams shoot above Ghidorah and gather, creating a very large sphere, only for a giant golden beam to strike Godzilla, who begins to roar in great pain. After a few seconds the beams stop, and Godzilla is seen with some parts of his body missing. In this case, his chest is missing some parts, revealing large wounds, and a lot of smoke can be seen coming from his stomach. Ghidorah grabs Godzilla by his neck, arm, and hand to lift him up and spin him around, only to release him and send him crashing into 3 mountains that fell on top of him. Ghidorah wastes no time and fires beams like bullets that explode when they touch Godzilla, causing more damage, after which the roar stops. Godzilla fires his atomic beam, but as always, the shield was there. Before it could hit, Ghidorah fired his own beams, which collided and created a huge blue and gold sphere that grew larger and larger. But then, the head of Enmity opened its mouth, and a mega beam caused the sphere to gain ground against Godzilla's and collide with it, causing a tremendous explosion that shook the entire island. The explosion was around 30,000 meters high and sent a shockwave that traveled more than 2,000 kilometers. In the underground tunnels, Sona and the others were somewhat terrified as the battle was very intense. The soldiers were trembling with fear, so much so that one of them peed, which was the laughingstock of everyone. Above, there was a huge amount of fire where the sphere exploded. The fire was around 40 kilometers long, and the smoke reached up to 400 kilometers. In the smoke, Godzilla could be seen getting up, badly injured and looking at Godzilla angrily at losing to him. So he had no choice but to leave and go into the water to disappear in the storm. Ghidorah, who controlled many things with his power, made his wings glow, and a large amount of water went upwards, creating a huge dome of water that began to descend as if it were raining. Thus, the fire began to slowly die down until it was extinguished. Afterwards, the entire field of destruction began to sprout trees and other things, but there were no footprints. Sona and the others come out, seeing Ghidorah with a smile, and he roars for victory, but everything starts to tremble so violently that not only the island but the whole world, every city began to shake violently. On the satellite, you could see how some parts of continents began to emerge from the water, joining with the normal ones. The island where Ghidorah was also began to grow uncontrollably, making it impossible to know what was happening. But then they realized that more continents were beginning to appear, but very different ones. Ghidorah, with his power, controlled the water all over the world, preventing giant tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, among other things. The tremor lasted 9 minutes until it stopped. Some buildings in the cities collapsed, causing the death and injury of thousands of people. The continents that appeared had a length of 13,000 kilometers, others of 6,000, and they were separated from each other but no more. The island now measured not 140, but 4,000 kilometers away. But that wasn't the strangest thing because the whole planet grew to be 6 times larger, just like the moon, which grew to be 3 times larger. The supernatural was impressed that something like that happened. Ghidorah stopped doing everything he was doing and returned to his human form. Sona and the children went outside and saw that the storm moved further away and that even new mountains rose up. Sona. Issei, what happened? Issei. The earth grew in size. This is a prophecy. Those who remained eternally asleep will find their successors and start the battle again, but one day the planet they all walk on will grow in size because other beasts like them will awaken from their eternal sleep and dominate the whole world, not before 2 bone-biting snakes arrive. That is the prophecy of a legend. Sona. But. Issei. New threats are coming and we must be prepared. In space everything seemed calm, but near the moon, 6 portals appeared from which 9 giant ships emerged, at a maximum distance of 40,000 meters or 90,000 meters. So the land has grown now, huh? If the prophecy has already been fulfilled and the titans of that world are about to awaken. Well, in a few days we will go to Earth to learn more about these people who are from this universe. In another part of the ship. The same young man is seen, but this time observing an image of Void Ghidorah. You're here, aren't you? I know you're here. Chapter 5. The Titans Awaken, First Contact, and Moon Ghidorah appears Part 1. After the Earth grew in size, new parts of continents emerged from the water and joined the other parts. Many say that the end of the world has arrived, others say that this is normal because something is approaching. On Issei Island. The children were somewhat frightened by what happened. The island now looked much larger, and in the distance, large cities could be seen, some 700 or 900 meters high. Sona. Issei, she called the attention of the blonde-haired boy who went to her. What do you think is happening? Issei. The titans from all over the world and from other worlds that fell here are about to awaken. Tsubaki. But aren't they hibernating? Issei. Yes, but the strong tremor and the growth of the earth caused them to awaken. Now this planet is a battleground for the titans. Momo. But you can defeat them, right? Issei. Yes, but remember that there will be high-powered titans like me, or weaker, but with great strength. Baruko. What will we do? Issei. If one of you wakes up, you will stay here to protect the children and the military. In space. On the largest mothership. What will we do in 2 hours when 4 titans will awaken and the humans of this world cannot create advanced technology like ours? 1. We don't know, but we will go as soon as possible. We need to form an alliance with the leaders of the countries. 2. If, in addition to the fact that he might be here, have they been successful? Some women were looking at a green glass pane that had strange and very old letters on it. Woman. We haven't been successful, but the chances of him being here are high. There's no energy around the entire universe except on that planet. Woman 2. Commander, I detect something. Commander. What is it? Woman 2. I detect a great energy on the planet. It is a great energy, that's it, but it is different, it is much stronger than before. Commander. Attention. Prepare the ships to go to Earth. We must go now to forge the alliance. Inside each ship, thousands of soldiers took up arms. Others rode in white tank-like vehicles, like those from Godzilla. Monster Planet. And some robots with pilots. Each ship had a large quantity of these 2 things. Commander. Attention. I'm speaking to everyone through the motherships. We will have to reach Earth and form an alliance to be able to end these things. We will send 600 ships with weapons, soldiers, and attack machines. We will go after them. You must go directly to the UN where we will form the alliance. The young man's cell door opens and there appears a subject dressed in clothes like a priest, white and half red with lines more or less like patterns, his hair tied up in white, as was his skin. It's time, Haruo, if you want to avenge all those who died in the battle. Haruo. Let's go. Outside the ships, 600 small ships, 19 meters long, were launched, each capable of holding 30 soldiers. Thus, every 600 ships from each mothership descended until they crossed the planet's atmosphere, setting themselves on fire to descend slowly. At the United States UN. President of the United States. Unidentified objects have been detected coming down from space. President of Russia. If at our base it was reported that they had a strange but very high energy. President of Japan. These energies are electromagnetic energies and have a very different technology from ours. President of Mexico. What will we do? We already have problems with that golden dragon, now the Earth situation has worsened and now we have visitors from other planets. The soldier runs in. Soldier. Sir, you need to see this. Everyone goes outside only to see the white ships begin to descend on the city streets and they see soldiers and tanks emerging, among other things. But above, they see other, larger objects descending. They are like ships, but they look like stars, about 60 meters long. There were 8 of these. And others that were 90 meters long. There were 6. President of Japan. These are the visitors, Mr. President. The news helicopter takes off and approaches the crashed craft where it sees several humanoids watching the helicopter. Humanoid leader. It's a pleasure, people of Earth. That recording was being broadcast all over the world. I'm going to put what it says in black so there's no confusion. To the people of Earth, we are the Exiflus, I don't know their race name. We observe and predict the future. We are here because our universe was annihilated by an entity of great destructive power. Everyone was shocked to hear that their universe had been destroyed. We believe that entity is here. We call it Ghidorah, but here it is called Void Ghidorah, the Golden Beast, or Death. Its sole objective is to annihilate all existence. We, along with other survivors from various universes, have joined together to create weapons that can face the creatures that will awaken in their world. Now everyone is scared because he said that several creatures will awaken. We have not come to destroy you, but to form an alliance. Destruction is near, so please seek the path of devotion. The transmission then ended, leaving everyone pondering. Many argued that an alliance with them was preferable, as they didn't want to die. Others disagreed, suggesting the Titans were there for a reason, and if they were to awaken, it would be for a specific purpose. The transmission also reached the underworld because a bat, Rias familiar, observed everything. Sirzechs. Well, what do you say? Zeus. I don't know how to make an alliance with them just to annihilate several creatures that are asleep. Odin. Don't forget that these creatures are superior to Trixia and perhaps even to God. Brah. I vote for forming an alliance. Anubis. I'm in. Azazel. I vote for the alliance so we can create new weapons for the Titans. Odin. I vote for the alliance. Thor. Alliance. Bajuka. Alliance. Sirzechs. Alliance. Michael. Alliance. Everyone looked at those who said nothing. Zeus. I hope it's not bad. I vote for all my brothers and children alliance. So they went to the UN where the world leaders were to talk with those who had arrived. UN United States. President of Japan. He's telling us that this Ghidorah guy was the cause of all this. Human leader. If my name is Umberto Mori, I am a human from my universe just like millions like me. Velociludo leader. My name is Galugo, leader of our third binary planet, Velociludia, which was destroyed by Ghidorah. Humanoid leader. You can call me Enderf. President of the United States. Well, as we were saying. He could not continue because the leaders appeared from the ground through the magic circles. The soldiers pointed their weapons at the faction leaders. They were surprised that they were not afraid of them. Sirzechs. Don't worry, we haven't come to harm you. President of Russia. Who are they? Sirzechs. It's a pleasure. My name is Sirzechs Lucifer or Gremory, I am the Mao of the underworld. Everyone was surprised that demons exist, and even more so the underworld. Seraphol. I call Seraphol Leviathan or Sitri, I am the equal Mao Leviathan of the underworld. Azazel. I am Azazel, the leader of Grigory, home of the fallen angels. Odin. I am the father of all Odin of Asgard, and he is my son Thor. Ajuka. I am Ajuka, I don't know his last name, a Mao from the underworld. Anubis. I and my brothers are the gods of Egypt. Shiva. It's a pleasure, I am the god Shiva. Indra. I am Indra, just like a god. Sirzechs. We have come here to form an alliance with you. Enderf. Why do you want to form an alliance with us? He said, looking through his green glass. Sirzechs. We heard you're here to destroy the Titans. Is that true? Alugo. If our reports are true, they say that 3 or 4 will wake up in a few hours. Umberto. Our forces are quite high, we have everything we need. The young man approached. He had blonde hair but a light color and blue eyes. Martin. Excuse me, I'm Professor Martin, the one who knows about these things. One of the creatures is called Orga, the other is Mutohembra and Baragon. Orga is around 400 meters long, Mutohembra 420 meters, and Baragon 200 meters. Umberto. Well, they found Ghidorah. Upon hearing the name Issei had chosen, Ryu had a plan. Martin. No, we haven't been able to find him. Now that the earth is so vast, he could be anywhere. Ryu. I know where he is. Everyone turns to Ryu. Sirzechs was going to silence him, but Issei also spoke. Issei. It is on an island that is now a continent, it is south of Japan. Hero. Is that bastard here? I knew it. Odin. Excuse me, who is he? Umberto. He is Captain Hero, a survivor of the city of Vasara. His parents died in the attack on Ghidorah. Hero. You must take us to him and end his existence once and for all. Martin. Can you calm down, Hero? I know you're still angry with him, but you know very well that maybe he's not so bad. Alugo. What are you trying to say, kid? Martin. I saw videos about him and I saw that he's not attacking people, he just goes hunting animals and fish, but comes back in a storm. Ryu. That storm protects the island where he lives, as well as several traders. Umberto. Traders. Ryu. If many of our people went with that wretch and almost destroyed the underworld, he killed thousands of innocent demons. Hero. We have to go, where is it? Ryu. If you take me with you and several of your soldiers, I will show you the way. Everyone was thinking until Enderf spoke. I accept this will be a great opportunity to finish off Ghidorah once and for all, and bring peace to all the universes that could be in danger. Umberto. 100 ships with 3,000 soldiers will go, we have what we need for that. And so they departed. Ryu was happy that Issei was going to die because that way he planned to steal his power and make the whole universe fall at his feet. He even thought about forming a large harem of women and girls. Pharaoh was already somewhat angry since he saw the report and it said that Ghidorah is here to bring peace and protect everyone. Martin continued investigating until he saw that it had its own body because the previous one did not. Captain. Attention, we must stop, we are close. No one knew what was happening until the windows that were part of the ship's shield opened, revealing a megastorm about 100,000 meters high. From afar, lightning could be seen appearing everywhere. Pharaoh. Are you sure this is it? Ryu. If it's here, the bastard is here. Captain. We must proceed to enter. Ryu. Nothing will happen. The greeting that seemed like those of its kind appeared, its name was Duludu. Duludu. Don't worry, these ships are made of a shield that cannot be penetrated by those rays. It will only cause turbulence, nothing serious. Another one like him appeared. Lub. That's right, we saw in the video that trying to get out is more dangerous, but as my friend and colleague said, they won't be able to penetrate the ships. Thus more ships entered the storm where the windows were closing again, outside they could hear the sound of lightning and others falling on the ship, but as they said it was impossible to penetrate the shield. Captain. 30 seconds to get there. The turbulence was becoming more aggressive. The soldiers were scared. Captain. 20 seconds left. Pharaoh was somewhat scared. Captain. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thus they managed to escape the storm and reach the island where the shields open and reveal a vast landscape, ancient cities filled with plants as if they were fossils. Martin. Incredible, this must have been a much older ancient city. Captain. Preparing thermobaric bombs. Thus each ship drops dozens of teamobaric bombs until they explode on land, causing every animal to flee the place before being consumed by the exploration. In the distance the children saw explosions but didn't pay attention because they thought they were the remains of the ships that failed to escape and were pushed back to the island. With the ships. Each ship made a landing where each soldier took the weapons they needed, which were made using nanotechnology. Duludu. Well, now that we have disembarked, this place has a great landscape. Lub. I am surprised that Ghidorah lives in such a beautiful place. Pharaoh. Beautiful. What's so beautiful about this place? He could have done this himself. Martin. I don't think so, Captain. Take samples. These cities are ancient, dating back 100 million years. Lub. But how is it possible there were no humans before? Martin. Well, I have a theory that other visitors from other worlds in this universe came here and created the cities. We can see that these cities are not like those on Earth. They are very large and have writing that we have never seen before. Ryu. Come on, it's this way. Lub. Great. Let's go. All the soldiers followed behind each other. Others were in transport such as tanks or ships, and as they walked they saw footprints. One of the soldiers saw something. Soldier. Come. Everyone goes and sees that it was a little girl lying down. Martin. She's a human girl. Ryu. She's not a demon girl from the underworld, Ghidorah brought them here along with others. The girl opens her eyes, but upon seeing the others, she takes out her wings and flies away. Pharaoh. What the hell? There will be fire. Soldier. No sir, we can't do that, she's a girl. Pharaoh. They must shoot him to find out where Ghidorah is. The soldiers regretted what they were about to do and had no choice but to fire, but when a bullet almost hit the girl, it was destroyed. Lub. What? They saw that it was an impenetrable shield. Pharaoh. Does it have a shield? Thus they lost sight of the girl and had no choice but to continue. Martin. Pharaoh, can you please control yourself? This isn't your world, it's theirs. Pharaoh. This will be our world, and if we want it to be ours and theirs, we must eliminate those who are on Ghidorah's side. Lub. Enough already, Pharaoh. Lub puts on some magnetic handcuffs that attach to the other one. Pharaoh. What? Duludu. You will not be able to lead others, we cannot trust you if you continue down this path, that is why you will be under surveillance, take care of him, Lieutenant Yuko Tani. Yuko had short black hair and was very pretty. Yuko. Yes. They continue like this until they hear screams. They all went and saw children playing in a ravine. The soldiers were impressed by this since they lived on an island. Yuko. What are children doing here? Lub. They must be the ones Ghidorah brought to the island. But in that. Ruoir. The roar can be heard everywhere, putting everyone into fighting positions. Boy. Yes, we're going to eat. Girl. If we go, Issei-sama is waiting for us. So the children run away until Martin, with his sensor, which is a green screen with strange letters that they understood, could see thousands of children running. Martin. Incredible without thousands of children. Lub. Do you know where they're headed? Martin. I'm on it. He checks and sees that there was a great signal until the sensor shows that they were heading towards the biggest mountain. If they are heading towards this mountain. He shows the screen to everyone else, but they see that something was moving inside the mountain. Soldier. Sir, it seems that something was moving in that hole. Right. If there is one, it's where Void Ghidorah is. LUB. Well, now that we know where it is, we must return for the battle we will have against the 3 titans. Soldier. Captain. The timeline for the 3 titans to awaken was wrong. Bullied. So when will they wake up? Soldier. That's the problem, sir. They woke up 10 minutes ago and are attacking the cities. In the city of Las Vegas everything is destroyed, but in the distance the female mutant is seen being attacked by the forces of demons, angels, fallen angels, humans, Villasaurs and humanoids. At the UN. Umberto. Damn, it was wrong, those things woke up earlier than expected, but the good thing is that we did it, thanks to Ender's help. He said a few words. Garmetrion gave me an oracle. The sleeping creatures of eternity will walk and bring destruction. In Hawaii, he was also being attacked by an org that kept walking, destroying everything in its path, and with a ray shooting from his shoulder. In Alaska, it was also being attacked by Baragon, but it roared and went underground, causing strong earthquakes that made buildings collapse. At the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, Godzilla Earth awoke to the presence of the 3 titans and had no choice but to advance underwater at great speed. Chapter 6. The Titans awaken, first contact and Moon Ghidorah appears in battle. Now the 3 titans that awakened began their destruction heading towards a single point in Chicago. And la that. President of Japan. We must send our forces to evacuate the entire city. A battle will begin. Umberto. We will send 10,000 of our soldiers, as well as ships, to destroy these things. President of Russia. Do you have weapons for these things? Alugo. Yes, we Velociludos create weapons for these things. I will send 20,000 of my soldiers. Enderf. I will send ships, I cannot risk many of us. Azazel. We will also send troops to try to help with the care. The leaders nodded, and that's how more ships, but different ones, came down from the motherships, as well as white ships, which numbered 1,000 in total. And La Isla de Ghidorah. They all didn't know what to do. Abandon their mission to find Ghidorah's whereabouts or stay. LUB. What will we do? We can't abandon our mission. Bullied. It's best to leave some soldiers here and find out where that mountain is. You might ask, why? Well, it's simple. There are several mountains right now and we don't know which is which, plus a fog is rising. Pero. We must withdraw. We will leave 50 soldiers here to investigate Ghidorah. LUB. Well, it's decided, let's go, we must go and destroy Titans. The ships take off leaving only 2 behind. Those who stayed behind took weapons and, with the tanks and robots, began to explore the island. Those who left were already back in the storm, but now more aggressive than before. On the mountain where Issei Ghidorah is. Issei was talking to the survivors of those who arrived on the island. Issei. I can take you back to Japan, but don't worry, now you know where we are. Soldier. Thank you, and please excuse us for not knowing sooner. Issei. No hay problema. Issei opens his hand, and a portal opens where the soldiers enter and leave. Issei turns to look at the others who were already eating and just put on a smile when he saw that they were happy. Sona approaches from behind and hugs him. What do you think? Issei. Now that 3 of the titans have awakened, I don't know what to do. Should I stay and let Godzilla take care of it? Sona. You should go when he can't. Baruko approaches him and hugs him. Baruko. You are very warm, Issei-senpai. Issei. Jeej, thank you Jiruko-chan. Momo. Issei, when can we get one? Issei blushed and said. Don't worry, maybe we'll do it one of these days, but don't worry, you'll enjoy it. The girls turned bright red thinking about how he would make them moan with pleasure. Issei sat down at the table and began to eat. He could hear the children's laughter and their conversations about the island and the city that had been built. This made him happy. He knew they would enjoy this new life. In the sky, thousands of soldiers in strange ships, the ones from Godzilla. Monster Planet, the ones they used in the battle against Godzilla, were more than 20,000 soldiers in those ships, and there were 100 in total and 1,000 white ships. Elsewhere, far from Chicago, the 3 titans that are Orga. It was destroying everything in its path, its powerful arms slamming against the ground, causing strong tremors that made buildings collapse. From its shoulder, where the cannon was located, it glowed until it fired a white beam at a building, causing it to explode in a huge blast. Orga crossed paths with the female mutant, looking imposing in its presence and power. It was more frightening because it was faster, destroying some cities in its path. In the sky, warships could be seen falling and exploding upon impact. A passenger plane was falling because the Muto's power was that when its front paws glowed red and hit the ground, they caused an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, that shut down all electricity more than 10 kilometers away. The plane fell and exploded next to the Muto, who roared at the destruction before his eyes. But it wasn't just that plane. There were others falling and causing more destruction. But Baragon, this creature was traveling underground at great speed, causing strong tremors and the earth to collapse wherever it passed. The three titans were heading towards their target, Chicago. Godzilla kept moving through the water because he knew that in Chicago there was a very large force beneath the city that gave the greatest power to the titan who touched it. That's why it's so important to those three, but the other titans didn't care about that power. They only cared about. In Chicago, everyone was being evacuated by demons and fallen angels. Children were being taken away in white ships, adults in other ships, and tanks were being placed in some parts of the city for when they arrive. Fallen. Calm down, calm down. You must go to where the ships are. They will send you far away from the city. Everyone obeyed until. You. Upon hearing that roar, everyone began to tremble with fear until they turned and saw the female Muto approaching from the east. They could see car explosions among other things. Citizens began to run. Others headed to the port where the cruise ships and warships were docked, along with cargo ships and aircraft carriers. Thousands watched a Muto arrive from afar. Demons took flight and began firing beams. Fallen angels launched lances of light that exploded upon impact with the Muto, causing it to rage and roar. Tanks spun and began firing bullets that exploded on contact with the female. Ships dropped thermovariant bombs that exploded on its back, enraging it, but what truly impacted them was something else entirely. It opened its mouth and unleashed powerful sound waves at the ships, causing 3 of them to explode. Then, its paw glowed and delivered a powerful blow that didn't create a pulse, but rather a red beam towards some tanks, which exploded and caused a building to collapse. The female continued on its way. The people had nowhere to go, but portals from the leaders had made everyone enter out of fear of the coming destruction. The Velociludos arrived with their ships, starting to fire thousands of green rays, causing more anger to the female. Those in the aerial vehicles began to fire explosive bullets. But the female senses nuclear energy in a crashed ship, so she opens her mouth and begins to destroy it until she reveals the core, which she then consumes. She begins to roar with greater intensity, her 2 legs glowing red so brightly that she impacts them simultaneously, causing a powerful electromagnetic pulse that reached over 100 kilometers. This knocked out 100 aircraft that lost control and crashed to Earth. Other white ships also fell without power. The female continued on her way. The UN personnel who had witnessed the battle were impressed by the power of the unleashed female. They didn't know what to do. "Alu go. Since our ships are still standing, we must begin phase 2. In Chicago. The Velociludos ships opened large doors revealing large cannons that fired energy beams at the female, who roared in pain. She raised her legs and began to pound the ground, raising a large curtain of dust that obscured her position. Velociludo. Where is it? Until sound waves from the dust went straight to one of the ships that were losing control, or because of the loud sound many tried to cover their ears, but it was useless because their ears exploded, or others saw blurred that those who were controlling the ship were losing control and causing it to plummet, falling on top of a building that collapsed and exploded. Many were now afraid of the female who came out and began to walk to reach where that power was. The ships that were on the island were already arriving until they detected 2 presences arriving at the city, and those were Orga and Baragon. Upon arriving, Orga began his rampage, roaring and firing his cannon. Baragon ran across the ground, and beneath him, explosions erupted, and Earth collapsed through the large tunnels he created. All 3 forces returned to fight the 3 titans. The Velociludos now dealt with Orga, the humans with the female mutant, and the demons and fallen angels with Baragon. Orga was having a difficult time, as the Velociludos, possessing more advanced weapons, could destroy his skin. He grabbed large rocks of earth or pieces of buildings and hurled them, intending to destroy the ships. He fired his cannon, but it seemed the Velociludos had activated an impermeable shield, making it easier for them to attack Orga, who could do nothing but roar and fire. The female mutant was almost the same. The ground tanks fired everything they had, hitting her head and legs more to make her lose her balance. The ships fired larger bullets that caused some damage to her back. Baragon tried to hide, but apparently the humans placed bombs in some buildings where they exploded and fell on top of him, preventing him from leaving. Those far away shouted with joy, but that was short-lived as the 3 roared with fury, their bodies beginning to glow until 3 waves erupted from them, causing the airships to explode. The white ships also exploded, but some that hadn't yet exploded spun around and crashed onto Orga, the female mutant. Everyone nearby perished. The leaders were awestruck by the power of the 3, who continued on their course until they were almost at their target when a blue beam struck Orga, causing an explosion that forced them back. Everyone stared at Godzilla with furious expressions at the destruction in the city. Some citizens shouted with joy, while others were less enthusiastic. Godzilla began to emerge from the water, ready to fight. On the ship where Hero and the others were. Hero. He says. Martin. Godzilla, the one who takes care of this planet, is impressive, he now measures 430 meters. Lube. What are you doing here? Uludu. I don't think he's coming for power, but because of them for causing so much destruction. Yuko. If that's the reason. Martin. Were they able to locate that power? Lube. If it is right below us. They were all on top of a large pile of rubble, and down below, about 300 meters underground, there was a white sphere that shone with great intensity. Upon seeing the Titans, Godzilla roars with fury and begins to advance, but is rammed by the female, who pushes him and strikes him in the hand. Godzilla grabs her with his claw on her leg and pushes her away. He spins and slashes her in the face with his tail. Baragon appears and bites Godzilla's left arm. Godzilla can't shake him off, but as he tries to fire his beam, Orga strikes him hard in the face with his claw. Godzilla roars in pain. Orga opens the fingers of his claw and grabs Godzilla by the neck, throwing him 500 meters away where he lands, causing destruction. The female appears, trying to impale Godzilla with her spikes, but he gets up and fires his atomic beam, hitting her in the back. Orga appears behind him and strikes his dorsal plates, destroying 4 of them, which fall to the ground and become embedded. Godzilla roars even more intensely and bites Orga in the neck, causing him to roar in pain and spit blood. Godzilla sank his teeth in, but his cannon glows and fires his beam at Godzilla, but the most shocking thing of all is that it destroys his invisible asymmetrical shield. All the world leaders now had a way to defeat the Titans, and it was that monster Orga, because of its power that could destroy Godzilla's shield, and they thought it would be the same with Ghidorah's. Godzilla kept fighting but was attacked by these 3. He fired his beams, or a beam like a shockwave that hit Orga and made him retreat. The female mutant made her legs glow, but made them collide with each other, creating an electromagnetic pulse that prevented Godzilla from firing his beam. The female appeared and bit him on the neck. Orga reappeared and hit him in the chest, turned, and with her tail gave Godzilla a very strong tail whip to the face. Baragon appeared from below and plunged her horn into Godzilla's stomach. The UN people now understood that Baragon also had something capable of penetrating Godzilla, and that was his horn, since it was made of something never seen before. Godzilla falls to the ground in great pain, but gets up again and raises his tail to lower it and launch his ray from the tip that hit Baragon in the chest, making a deep cut. Hyoudou stabs him in the back with its beak, Orga gives him another blow to the chest and digs its hand claws into his back and sends him flying. On the island, everyone watched the battle between them. Sona. Issei clouds and. Issei. I wanted him to do that, but now I have to take care of everything. And so he leaves, but not before giving his girls a kiss and leaving the mountain. Those who stayed behind continued to observe something near the island, but their sensor detected that something had emerged, so they became alert. Soldier. Hey, what do you think it is? Soldier 2. I don't know, but we need to see what it is. But then everything flashed with a golden light, blinding the soldiers. 13 seconds passed, and what they saw left them pale, for before them stood Ghidorah, now larger and spreading its wings, beginning to fly. The soldiers analyzed Ghidorah and discovered that it was indeed larger, leaving the island and heading towards Chicago. From afar, explosions, collapsing buildings, and roars could be seen. Godzilla rose, but Orga prevented him from standing, firing his beam and destroying some of Godzilla's skin. This time, Godzilla became enraged and his plates glowed, ready to fire his beam. Orga and the female mutant did the same, ready to fire. When Godzilla fired his beam, they both fired at the same time, but Orga and the female beat Godzilla, hitting him hard and causing an explosion where Godzilla was seen with a large part of his chest missing. Baragon emerged from the ground and plunged his horn into Godzilla's stomach, causing him to lose control and fall to the ground. Orga starts walking until he is in front of Godzilla, and when he is about to sink his claws into his neck, a golden beam hits Orga in his body, taking him far away until he crashes into 6 buildings that come down on top of him. Everyone knew it was because they were watching it. Lub. Yes, it is big. Uludu. No, I can't believe it. Yuko. Is that him? Lub. You. Hero, I knew you were here. Ghidorah. Void Ghidorah had made his appearance, flapping his wings until he touched the ground where he roared with hatred upon seeing them. Baragon ran and tried to stab him with his horn, but Ghidorah's shield was present and he could not penetrate it. Ghidorah flicks its tail and lashes it, sending it crashing into another building. Orga leaps from the rubble and fires its cannon, but upon impact with Ghidorah's shield, nothing happens. The left head fires its golden beam at the cannon, destroying it and causing it to roar in agony. The female charges and tries to charge, but the left head sinks its teeth into her right leg and she roars with great intensity. Ghidorah doesn't care. Instead, it tears off two small eggs from beneath her and throws them aside. Orga roars, slamming its powerful arms on the ground before running, as do the others, who head straight for Ghidorah. The four begin a battle. The three heads are busy fighting. The right head fires its beam at Baragon's horn, detaching it and sending it crashing to the ground. Then it grabs him by the neck with its teeth and lifts him up, flicking its right tail and plunging its spiked tail into his stomach. The people shout with joy at seeing a titan of their own side, as is Ghidorah. Baragon roars and spits blood, but that's not all. The head that held him makes its mouth glow, and a golden ray comes out of the back of its neck, ending Baragon's life, but not before tearing out his heart and eating it. Upon seeing that one had died, Orga headed towards the source of that power, arriving and beginning to strike hard and dig to obtain it. Ghidorah witnessed this, but the female attempted to stab it with her beaks, only to be grabbed by the three heads and slammed against the ground. Orga, having finished digging, was about to seize the power, but it stood up and thought it would go to it, but instead, it vanished in a flash. Orga turns around and sees Ghidorah roaring and biting him. The sphere kept heading towards the island for some reason. It entered the storm, with Sona and the others watching as Issei humiliated Orga, the female, but they saw that Orga roared with great intensity, and it was because her body had grown a little more and spikes had appeared on her. Sona. But what? Tsubaki. Something happened to make that happen. Momo. Did she really have that power? Sona. I don't think so. Boy. What is that? Everyone sees the sphere that reached the mountain and touches Sona, Haruko and Momo. The three begin to glow white. Tsubaki. Sona, what's wrong? Sona. I don't know. Then memories and images of a three-headed white dragon came to him until the light continued and continued until it disappeared. Ghidorah continued fighting, but now Orga, whose power had increased, opened his shoulders and fired two beams. Ghidorah's shield was very strong, but he fired his golden beam at the cannons. Ghidorah moved very quickly, avoiding the beams and causing them to crash into a hill. But that didn't stop him. The head of Inmedio raised its mouth and lifted its neck, firing golden lightning bolts that went everywhere to prevent his escape. Orga dodged the beams, but one hit his right cannon and another his head, causing him to fall to the ground. The female emerged from the ground and bit Ghidorah on the neck, but it didn't hurt him. She then bit his right leg, and he roared. But then Orga appeared behind him, its two hands, or claws, extending into spikes as he tried to kill Ghidorah. Suddenly, a white beam struck Orga, sending him crashing into a hill. Everyone was in shock because in the sky, a silhouette with two wings, three tails, and three heads, arrived to save Ghidorah. He turned and saw what impressed him, but when he had the female in his mouth, he threw her away and went to where the silhouette had been. He touched the ground, and the light began to fade, revealing another Ghidorah. It was almost the same size as Ghidorah, which is now 550 meters tall, and this one measures 500. They look at each other until they put their heads together and lick each other. But the others? Haruo. Ghidorah. Elubi. Yes, but this one looks female. Uludu. If the way they caress each other makes them a couple. Yuko. Captain, come. Everyone is going to see what's happening. Haruo. What's up? Yuko. This is very strange. Inside Ghidorah, I detect a small human signature signal. The sensor displayed a red light in the shape of a human on the back. Elubi. That's impossible, there can't be a human who takes the form of Ghidorah. Martin. Not that we can know, but it may be his reincarnation. He can take his Ghidorah form, but he needs to control it. But both Ghidorah, they stopped licking each other and began growling, as if communicating, until they turned and saw Orga and the female standing there. The white Ghidorah, now called Moon Ghidorah, began to move towards her, while Void Ghidorah went after Orga, who did the same. A powerful blow to the ground caused spikes to emerge, attempting to pierce Ghidorah, but it had no effect. Ghidorah spun around, and golden spikes shot from the tips of its tail, embedding themselves in the cannon on its left shoulder. Orga didn't care and continued, exchanging bites and blows. Ghidorah bit and tore off parts of its body, causing it to roar in pain, but was silenced by a blow to the left head. The right Ghidorah then bit Orga's neck. Orga opened its mouth and bit the right Ghidorah's neck, tearing off a small golden scale that fell to the ground. The middle Ghidorah opened its mouth and fired its red beam, which struck Ghidorah in the face. Then the other two bite him and throw him into the city. Orga gets up, but from the building in front of him, Ghidorah runs out and bites him, sending him crashing through several buildings that collapse. Ghidorah whips his tail twice in the face and once in the back. Orga goes against him and tries to sink his claws in, but it was in vain, as the head of Inmedio extends its teeth and bites his left arm until it tears it off. Orga was afraid of Ghidorah's great power for the first time, but she heard the female's roar and saw that she had lost her two front legs. In addition, 3 white beams hit her, and she saw Moon Ghidorah fly and Acer on top of her. Orga looks at Ghidorah again, but it bites him and grabs him with its tails to begin taking flight into the sky, not without first slamming him against the buildings. Everyone watches in great surprise as it carries him away flying. They were already 400 kilometers away when it releases him and he begins to fall, but they open their mouths and shoot their beam to accelerate his fall. Everyone below saw something shining until they realized it was Orga roaring because they were shooting rays at him. Orga falls to the ground, causing a shockwave and raising a large cloud of dust. After a few minutes, Ghidorah descends from the sky and stands before Orga, who is getting up. Upon seeing Ghidorah, he roars at him with hatred, but the 3 heads bite him on the neck, arm, and back. Then, their necks glow, and golden beams emerge from the bites, illuminating his entire body. Cracks also appear on his skin until. Orga exploded, and its explosion was so intense that it destroyed almost the entire city. The flash of the explosion disappeared, revealing 70% of the city destroyed and in flames. Everyone wondered, what happened? Where is Ghidorah and that white Ghidorah? But then they saw something rise, thinking it was Orga, but everyone began to applaud and shout with excitement at seeing Ghidorah alive, as well as Moon Ghidorah, who had the female's head in his mouth until it was right in front of him, and their snouts joined until then Ghidorah reared up and spread his wings in victory. The citizens shouted with excitement, cheered, and applauded. The island's children shouted with equal excitement, especially Issei's girls. The leaders didn't know what to do now. They didn't know if Ghidorah was their enemy or not, but they had to obtain what those 3 titans left behind. Baragon's horn, Orga's arm, the female's body, and perhaps Godzilla's plate to create a weapon to kill them. Arrow was furious because people were shouting Ghidorah's name with joy. People. Void Ghidorah. Void Ghidorah. Void Ghidorah. Arrow. I won't let you hurt these people, I know you're bad, you're just pretending to be good. Thus both Ghidorahs take flight until they disappear into the clouds. Chapter 7. Now after the battle against Orga, Baragon and the female wall, against Godzilla and Void Ghidorah, but also a new guest who was now called Moon Ghidorah, in other words, Moon Ghidorah. The faction leaders were impressed that another Ghidorah existed and that she could match Void Ghidorah's power despite being female. Hero was furious that he would now have to deal with 2 Ghidorahs. Martin. Okay, now what? Lub. What do you mean? Martin. Now that we've witnessed the existence of another Ghidorah besides a female one, what will happen? Hero. We must take the remains of the 3 titans in addition to Godzilla's dorsal plates to create weapons to destroy all the monsters on this planet and thus make this world a paradise again, as it should have been before those things appeared. Martin. Captain, can you stop talking about the titans like that? Hero. What the hell are you talking about? Martin. According to what I found in the writings of each city that appeared in each country and city, these cities were made for the titans, and the people of the past worshipped them as gods. Their power of radiation made a great vegetation grow that we never saw. Uludu. I agree, we took a sample of a plant that appeared during the battle, and it was that the radiation and the blood of the titans gave it an incredible plant evolution and bloom in the city. Enderf. But now the problem would be what to do now that the titans are going to awaken in different places and they could all awaken together at the same time. Umberto. We must go to where they fought and obtain everything that belongs to these titans. We already saw that they can destroy an enemy's shield and we think it might be similar to Ghidorah's, so let's get to work. Thousands of ships went in search of parts of the titans, they were able to get the horn of Baragon, the body of Orga still somewhat intact, only it had an immense hole, the Hyoudou as well, so they continued to do tests to find out what they were made of. The horn turned out to be of a mineral that they could never find, and they decided to heat the horn until it melted, and they were able to take several samples, thus multiplying them to create weapons. The female mutant's powers turned out to be due to her consuming more radiation, with which she can create attacks such as sound waves and electromagnetic pulses. Orga turned out to be of extraterrestrial origin with the sole purpose of destroying worlds. Thus they began to create weapons and machines for fighting, and they decided to give the alliance a name, which is now called United Land. But Ghidorah and Moon Ghidorah. They were on the island talking. Issei. So now they are the reincarnation of Moon Ghidorah. Sona. Yes, darling. Momo. I feel stronger in that form. Baruko. Yes, besides feeling that my demon power has grown more. Issei. You must train well so you can fight alongside me when a titan awakens. Sona. Darling, I want to ask you something. Issei. What is it? Sona. Marcus is yours. Issei. What? And why? Momo. We just can't resist it anymore, Issei-kun. Baruko. Yes, senpai, I can't wait to surrender to you and make you moan with pleasure. Queen. I want to be yours, we want you to mark us. Issei. Okay, we'll do it tonight. So things went on normally for everyone, but they were watched by soldiers who stayed behind to observe. And la that. Everyone was saying a lot of things. Enderf. We have been able to create more than 300 machines to fight against the Titans, 14,000 weapons and 20,000 warships for emergencies, but they are still continuing production. Sirzechs. If that makes us happy to hear it. Hero. But there's something we need to talk about. Several soldiers point their weapons at the leaders. Alugo. Tell us, who is Void Ghidorah really? I can't stand Ryu anymore. Ryu. He's my useless brother. Hero. What do you mean, brother? Ryu. Possesses human form. Issei. What are you doing? Ryu. Do the right thing. A soldier enters. Soldier. Mr. Umberto, we're receiving a transmission from the island. The screen shows Ghidorah arriving, going straight to the mountain where there were a large number of children and some adults, but there were also houses on the ground. Martin. This is incredible. Are they demon children or am I wrong? Sirzechs. He is not wrong. Azazel. They are the ones who left with Ghidorah, or rather Issei Ghidorah. Hero. Give us all the information about him now. On the island, the children finished eating and went to sleep, but when Issei saw that everyone was already asleep, he raised his hand and golden weights rose from the floor of the entrance, blocking the way in. Issei heads to where his house was, which was a statue of Ghidorah lying down. He enters and surrounds it with golden spikes, but when he enters his room he gets a big surprise. On his bed all the Sitri girls were naked and with hearts in their eyes that could only reflect lust, pleasure and love. Issei. See chicas. Sona. Darling, you came. Issei. What's going on? Sona. Release my dragon cousins and give them some pills that release all the pleasure they have inside. You can imagine the rest. The hours passed like this, the children ran and played outside and went into town to see what was there. Sona and the others discovered that having their first time with Issei caused their power to grow. Now Sona had 12 pairs of demon wings, Momo 11 pairs, Haruko 11, Tomo 10, Yura 10, Ria 11, and Tsubaki 12 pairs of wings each. The amount of semen that filled their wombs caused their powers to grow, becoming superior to the ancient Moes and perhaps even the celestial dragons. Issei. I love their wings. He was watching the girls fly and test their powers. Sona. I'm glad. Issei. You know, I never imagined my life would change like this. Sona. Yes. Issei. You know, I'm glad I gave you my virginity and you gave me yours. Sona. Yes, but you were a bit rough with us and Raruko was even more into the pleasure. Issei. Yeah, I went overboard with her, although it was clear she was enjoying it like never before. Sona. What will happen now? Issei. You will have to train to control your powers, and even more so you, Momo and Raruko, who are Moon Ghidorah together. Sona. We will show you what we are. Issei kisses her on the lips, and she reciprocates. Issei. We have to be prepared for anything that happens, especially on the island. Sona. Yes. Issei. Come on, we must train his power. Issei takes out his wings, and Sona does too, but she went on Issei's back so that she would be next to him. Godzilla was in the Pacific Ocean recovering energy he lost because Orga not only has the power to shoot rays, but also to absorb or weaken the enemy's power. What will happen in the future? We'll see. I'm sorry for the deletion, but I'm afraid Wattpad will delete what I've done so far. Chapter 8. After the night of pleasure between Issei's partners, and now they, being superior to the original Lucifer, and among others, were now training. Issei was looking at the horizon, but then he turned his gaze to the city that had been uninhabited for a long time. Children were running and playing, and he could see their partners cooking for everyone with the help of magic. Issei decides to do the same, so he leaves. In the United States, in an organization called United Earth. The Velociludos and Exif Data had already made significant progress with the reproduction of weapons for the Titans. With the help of genetic samples from Berrigan's horn, Orga's blood and the female mutant to create weapons and other things. Enderf. We have made progress in reproducing the weapons and machines needed to kill the Titans. Lub. If in addition to the fact that the nanometal works with that Titan energy. Alugo. It's incredible that creatures of that size have so much power and I wonder how many more there are. Uludu. Don't worry, we'll finish them off and Ghidorah will follow. Elsewhere. He was creating ships and warships. Umberto. We already have 400 warships and 500 warships. Martin. Will this energy be enough to defeat the Titans? Umberto. But we are also creating ships, submarines with a drill coated in nanometal and the energy of Berrigan. Martin. It's impressive that a Titan with one horn is able to hurt Godzilla. Elsewhere there, the leaders could be seen talking with world leaders. Sirzechs. I've just been informed that the reproduction of weapons, tanks and other things is happening too fast. Within a week, we'll have everything ready to take down the Titans. Leader of Japan. That's good, but at the moment we have two simple targets. Godzilla and Void Ghidorah. EU leader. You're right, as I understand it, that golden dragon is capable of wiping out the entire planet and the entire universe. Azazel. Yes, that's what we know and what humans from another dimension told us. Ajuka. But as I understand it, we were also told that there were other golden dragons larger than that. Leader of Russia. If they told us that they are brothers since the dragon, or well, they all were since he betrayed his own species. Sirzechs. Well, apart from that, we have extracted genetic samples from the Baragon horn. Azazel then displays a transparent screen where the radiation readings from the Baragon horn could be seen. Sirzechs. His horn is made of an extremely strong material. It is capable of destroying all kinds of shields, including Godzilla's asymmetrical shield, but not Ghidorah's, since he possesses an indestructible shield. There is nothing that can destroy it. Office. They cannot attack someone who is from another dimension. Everyone turns around and sees the dragon goddess next to Great Red. Rojo. Let it be clear to them that they will leave the boy alone. Japanese leader. Do you know that dragon? Red. Yes, we saw him millions of years ago. He was defeated by an ancestor of Godzilla. He said this to everyone's amazement since Godzilla was too weak, having been defeated by 3 mere titans. Leader U. But this Godzilla couldn't defeat them, why? Red. It's a baby. That said, it impressed everyone that it was a baby. Red. The real one is still asleep, conserving energy. It is almost the same size as Ghidorah, only it continues to grow. Its development stage is accelerating. Office. Her power is also growing in just a few days. She's already at 100% and possessing the power that once belonged to the previous Ghidorah. Those discounts were given to the supernatural leaders because they were too scared, just like the world leaders, because they now knew that Ghidorah didn't have 100% of his power. Sirzechs. What do you mean he wasn't at 100% power? Red. He only had 50% of his true power. It's growing with each passing day. Azazel. Then we must seize this opportunity and finish him off. Red. No, if you do it, he will destroy you and everyone else. Office. You are the most powerful being in the universe. If you make him angry, it will be the end of us. Thus they both disappear, leaving everyone in doubt and some frightened, as they did not want to face that giant dragon again. Karate, so much of the world was hibernating, seeing some already wanting to awaken to proclaim the world that was theirs. But in another part of the universe, or rather in another dimension from where these humans who arrived came, everything was chaos. Billions of worlds destroyed and facing them 2 colossal dragons who saw all this as fun. We have already destroyed all the worlds and our power has grown. 1. But remember that Ghidorah has escaped from a fire dimension that we don't know where it is. And only if we saw our power grow more should we destroy every planet in every universe. 1. You know better than anyone that we too are the most powerful beings in all the universes. Very soon we will rise again and together we will rule the 100 universes. The reign of the Ghidorah begins. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.